Carlo. We are finally live. We have had a nightmare today. We have had a nightmare. Everything is going wrong. It could probably possibly go wrong. How are you doing anyway?
Classic technical issues. Absolutely great. Looking forward to this game. Looking like it's going to be a right cracker.
Yeah. Um, Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I think it should be a good one. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Your predictions then. So we see Rossi bringing his Night's Watch's John list to the table, and we also see the which one is it? Mother of Dragons? Is it Mother of Dragons? Zerotorque? Is it Mother of Dragons? I think.
Of course, it's Mother of Dragons. Would it be anything else? I think it's going to be a very good game. I think that this Night's Watch list is one of the best matchups into Mother of Dragons as possible. It's practically specifically built to fight Mother of Dragons. It has what I like about the list the most is that it's not spam based. Like it's actually got a ton of toolbox kind of units, each of which threatens Mother of Dragons in a different way. The biggest threat is mostly Jon Snow in the Sworn Brothers, and then using Ghost to be able to shut off Fire Made Flesh becomes a very, very aggressive, dangerous move that also combines with the Mox Martial solo for some mobility. But throw in on top of that, we've got some crossbows, which gives some threat at range. It means that Mother of Dragons can't just sit back and do nothing. I think that use of Fire Made Flesh will actually make the crossbows do very little damage, but it's something to kind of force the engagement, bring things into like mobility-wise into the Night's Watch advantage. And then there's even the Ranger Trackers with a Watch Martial attachment, which are a big threat to dragons as well because of their maneuver, take a shot and then take another shot. That's really going to get round it's going to get round that Fire Made Flesh kind of recycling that Mother of Dragons will generally be known for.
Yeah.
And what makes her so difficult to play into. I think this is one of the few matchups that Mother of Dragons isn't instinctively kind of the favorite, and actually Mother of Dragons is going to have to be very aggressive here by Zerotorque. And if anything, Zerotorque is going to have to come here and outplay Rossi, I think. Whereas in most matchups, I believe that the Mother of Dragons player just has to not make any glaring mistakes, and their opponent has to outplay them.
That's fair enough. I tend to agree. I really do like Rossi's list, into Mother of Dragons. In case anyone's not aware, the lists that we see here are Jon Snow inside Sworn Brothers, Naked Conscripts, Naked Crossbowmen, the Trackers with the Watch Martial attachment and solo Watch Martial, and of course Ghost bringing in the rear. Varys, Aemon, and Craster on the sides. The Zerotorque played by De Burger today, but Zerotorque is got obviously the three dragons, Dany in the Blackguard, and then we see Walder, Varys, and Tycho. Okay, it looks like round one is beginning, and what do you think? What do you think first?
Well, I was going to say one of the big questions is going to be both having Varys. Can they force each other into utilizing those Varys tokens early before it's important? Do they have the confidence to like hold on to them till later on in the game? Who can pressure the other one into using them early? I think Craster's a very important piece here. He helps the counter against Walder. It means that he can keep his Watch Martial alive more easily. He's less dependent on having that money bag zone to keep that one wound kind of not be a double tap kill for Walder. It might help him to save some Varys tokens there. But this is really going to be a bit of a slow start, I think. There's going to be a lot of positional play and a lot of preparation, a lot of each player kind of trying to get hold of the right combination of cards. And I think that's really displayed in the fact that that Zerotorque's gone for this corner deployment, relatively that almost that dragon castle, which we see quite regularly now from like top MOD players. Like they understand that this positioning is very, very key, using the dragons to protect each other and all keeping them within a bubble around MOD for her cards. In counter to that, Rossi's stayed very, very compact, and looks to be slowly going to move into range. It's interesting as to how these stakes, which are currently sat in front of the dragons, will end up playing out. They actually, they're a very common component for the Mother of Dragons because he can avoid taking the stakes damage by jumping backwards and forwards over it. But in this case, the crossbowman could really start to use that against the MOD, trying to force the dragons out of that corner.
Yeah, agreed. Also, hello to our chat today. I've finally got everything posted that I need to post and finally can focus on what chat is saying. And we've got Lockerbie, obviously coming here to support German. Lockerbie is German, right? He's here to support his German counterpart in Rossi. We've got Charles, Weasel Kingdom, who's probably just here because he's got nothing else better to do. We've got Bob, who is good question as why Bob's here. Deoxys is definitely here because he's an idiot and should be in bed and can't sleep at this time of night. Go to bed, Deoxys. But before you go to bed, share us among all your friends and give us a like and also donate all their money. Needless. And yeah, obviously anyone else want to make themselves known, ask any questions about the game as we go through, anything that we go through, feel free to ask. So we see the first move of the game. Dem conscripts be facing the wrong way, Carlo.
Yeah, this is interesting. I wonder if Rossi is just playing some kind of bait here. It's interesting because he's going to give up the third NCU zone on the board. That does actually have some ability to maybe allow him to remove an NCU from the board and retake it later on. With and now his watch is ended, that is a possibility. The likelihood that swords will do anything this round is almost non-existent. It's still a very odd move. I don't really know what he's going for here, but I guess he thinks that not much can be lost, particularly if he can get Varys to, if he can get Walder to be used. But we see that they're still both just wasting time at the moment. I would like to see him take Craster onto the board. That tactics card draw will, of course, be of some use. I'd hope he doesn't waste that. But really, we don't expect Aemon to have any value this round. So, sure. Nothing like a bit of Maverick play on the first turn when it doesn't actually matter. Deoxys is asking, how do dragons interact when they end a charge on stakes? So I believe that the model ignores units and terrain when moving, does not count for the attack action. So I believe that if it ended and made an attack while on stakes, that's not a movement, and that will damage them. Would be my belief.
Yeah, the charge itself would dodge the damage, but then the attack at the end of the charge wouldn't. Which is interesting because there's only actually one instance of taking damage on a charge, which is during the charge itself before the attack. That's when you'd normally take charge damage from stakes now, right? Or damage from stakes. But you don't take it twice, right? This was actually something we did have confirmed. You don't take it twice, but the opportunity to take it twice still exists. So it's a very weird thing in the rules. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like the rule.
Yeah, in some ways it's changed and been cleaned up in 2021. It's not clean. It's maybe got one less convoluted step.
Yes.
It now says that you only take this once during a charge. which specifically calls it out. But now there are distinctly two different actions as part of a charge. Both are possible triggers for the damage. So, I think I think you'd have to expect that the attack is a damaging action, as it were.
Yeah. So, hello Duncan, welcome back. Yeah, I wish they looked at that from I guess the perspective of the rules there, that little interaction, changing that interaction up a little bit and just cleaning it up in terms of like,
I think
I don't know, it has a lot of ramifications.
Here, the fruition of what Rossi's trying to create in this first round. He's taking onboard actions to waste time because he wants Walder to activate and then counter it with either Amon or Craster, preferably Craster, because he can draw the card as well as heal. So he's looking to use that as a way to heal the Watch Marshal after he gets damaged by Walder. This, of course, means that Walder can't hurt him as the first activation. And he's managed to achieve that interaction here, which basically by keeping his NCUs until later in the round, he has guaranteed that there is an extra space. And what he does is he gives up his third NCU to do it. By knowing that he has enough actions on the board that Zerotorque doesn't want to delay any longer and start to activate his dragons, because that could possibly leave Rossi with a position that he could take advantage of. I don't believe it actually would have. But he's managed to bait Zerotorque into using Walder while there's still an open zone for him to instantly counter. So I think he's done well to achieve that and has sacrificed a bit of board position for guaranteeing not to lose the Watch Marshal at the start of next round, and yet he keeps all 4 of his Varys tokens.
Yeah.
That's a very strong way to play the first round, to have baited out a Varys token and not given up any himself. I think that's looking like round 1 to Rossi.
Think so.
It is interesting that Rossi is one of only a few players who changed faction going from the regionals into the finals. He originally qualified, I believe, with Starks. Off the top of my head, he qualified with Starks and has switched to Night's Watch. There is a big question in that as to whether or not that was designed specifically to fight into Mother of Dragons, knowing that his first round opponent had qualified with Mother of Dragons, and he is actually also in a corner of the bracket with more Mother of Dragons. He has built this list specifically for that role, and it has a very good chance of doing well. I think it's a very astute move, and was actually something. It was actually something that I was welcoming players to do. Like, I think that it's good that players build lists tailored to what they think they might face. They have no guarantees. Their opponent could switch too. But I think that opens up more space for players to play more varied list building and to show that they understand the matchup that they're about to play and that they can tailor their lists to a specific matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how far he gets. He'll have to get through this first round, of course, but it'll be a big question of whether or not these lists have the longevity when they come out of a quarter, which is filled with Mother of Dragons, into the wider pool of effectively free folk and Starks that dominate most of the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to Rossi, as you know, I know Rossi quite well, speak a lot with him, and part of the reason he chose not to, like, play Starks and switch to Night's Watch is because he enjoys playing Night's Watch. They're his favourite faction to play, and he's fed up of playing Starks. That's what he said. He's just fed up of playing Starks all the time. He doesn't want to have to endure another Stark mirror match, is what he said. So yeah. Zerotorque was one of the only Mother of Dragons players, right, as well. From US, right? Zerotorque play, yeah, Zerotorque play Mother of
Um,
Dragons, definitely.
yep, Zerotorque qualified with Mother Dragons. Also, Tobo Mott qualified with Mother Dragons. Over in EU, Bizonko qualified with Mother Dragons. So they are actually all, generally speaking, down over in with Rossi's corner of the bracket. He actually is in his quarter of the bracket is him and 3 Mother of Dragons players.
So we see a Varus token spent there to prevent, I'm guessing, the zone when Craster has activated. Of course, Craster can now just choose not to take it. And then Varus can't. I think this is a bad spend of the Varus token, to be honest. You've denied one card draw from the Night's Watch player, but
Exactly.
the heal's coming out because you can't stop Amon and the bags when Amon activates.
Yeah.
You can only stop one of them.
Like I say, he's done very, very well to understand the value of trying to burn these Varus tokens early in the game while keeping a hold of his own. Deoxy's pointed out that actually Rossi's Varus was turned off, which is one of the reasons why he's managed to maintain 4 of them.
Yep.
But to get through this round unscathed is very, very important. And also, with his activation advantage, but how dangerous Mother of Dragons is, the one thing that I think Rossi wants to do is he wants to utilize the turn of Mother of Dragons going first to have extra activations at the end of the round, going into dangerous activations at the start of the next round. That is massively amplified if Varus has no tokens to stop a swords attack at the start of the round. So really his game plan here is to make moves and positions that both of them should really be trying to achieve, moves and positions that the others feel that they need to deny with Varus while not actually committing to anything concrete. Bob did say, like that he was. I think he gave a Zeds to Fire and Blood snoring
Big Z
at
Z
this
Z.
game mode,
Yeah.
but I think it's a very tactical game mode. We might not see any combat until, say, and by combat I mean attacks, until round 3, round 4. But I do believe that it will be a very interesting game up until that point, even if it is a very slow positional game.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think there's much. I don't think there's going to be much happen. I mean, obviously round 1 there's very little that normally happens in round 1 anyway. It's just jostling for position. I think that Rossi's going to be playing for this round 2 engagement. Maybe even a round 3 engagement if he can help it. And I already don't like what Zerotorque is doing too much. He's separating Viserion away from the pack, if you will. There is, of course, a gambit here. He can run in with Viserion and kill the Watch Marshal for 3 points. And yeah, the Watch Marshal has various different things that he might survive with. But if he runs in and kills that unit, and he only gives up Viserion in the process, then actually he's up 3-1. And it suddenly becomes Rossi's job to come and kill other aspects of Zerotorque's army.
Exactly. I also think that it might well be a bit of effectively bait to these crossbowmen. I think that the crossbowmen are going to do very, very little damage into Fire Made Flesh. Fire Made Flesh is going to negate so much of that it effectively means that the crossbowman will be considered a way to burn through that card, not a way to kill a dragon.
Yeah.
You need a lot more setup because of the way that Mother of Dragons tutors that card back, but the dragons in response, particularly if they can team up, will get rid of the crossbowman very fast in response. So I think that it's bait that Rossi doesn't need to take. And I think he's quite rightly doing that. He's actually scooting away rather than moving to within 14 inches range so he can shift and shoot.
Yeah. And this is definitely one of those kind of like, yeah, well, we might be in range of each other. We might be able to like shoot each other at some point if you run forward and shoot me and things like that. But it's like, this is not. Yeah, it probably even look like they're out of range actually. Even if the dragon moved full pelt, to get that shot, I just think it's very much kind of like we aren't. I can hold you at this distance, and I can feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, there is actually Rossi needs to be careful because there is actually a specific position where a small solo base, which is positioned, say, roughly a 45-degree angle to the front of a infantry tray at just over, well, basically at 14 inches. He can shift 2 inches forwards, take his 6-inch move, and shoot the crossbowman. But at that exact time, the crossbowman can't shift at 45-degree angle to the direction of the dragon and get within 14 inches themselves, partly because of their arrow and the center of their tray is quite far away from their corner piece, which is what the dragon is threatening, but also because they can't shift in the right direction.
Yeah, it's
The
like
dragon can actually threaten the crossbowman at a position that the crossbowman can't actually attack back at. Of course, as soon as the dragon moves in and attacks, the crossbowmen are well within range and will fire back. But the first attack here can be the decider.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't really have much to say about that. Really, it's just is what it is. I think we're going to see more shuffling from the two. Rhaegal and Drogon, I think this side are going to come down. I think he's going to threaten a lot. I think he can threaten a lot, and he probably should. But I don't think we're going to see anything spectacular come out this round. So really, it's about setting up for round 2. Yeah. What would you like to see from?
And I do actually believe that round 2 will mostly be a setup for round 3.
Okay, what do you want to see from Zerotorque?
Unless Rossi starts to engage at some point, he looks to be retreating back in towards his own corner, acknowledging that the longer this goes on, the better for him. Really trying to pull those dragons out of their corner. I think it's very much in Rossi's ballpark to choose when this engagement will begin, unless Zerotorque really goes out there and uses his maneuverability to get well within range. I would actually like to see him be very aggressive with the dragons at some point. I'm not saying yet at this round, but he needs to not dance around at 14-inch range. I think that's what a lot of people do a lot of the time. They're so entirely terrified of giving up the first attack to their opponent that they're always just inching into a range where it's like, well, this is favorable for me because at this range I can charge or shoot and you can't charge or shoot. But then their opponent just positions just outside of that range again, and they didn't have to maneuver greatly to do so. Whereas if you put yourself significantly within that range, 2, 3, 4 inches into that range, your opponent has to make big moves to get out of it and probably starts bumping into their own trays, and that's when turtling starts to become an issue for players.
Yes.
And that's how you really get round the turtling issue. Turtling is an issue of people not being confident enough to attack correctly, not an issue of defense being too powerful.
I agree, and I know this full well from Free Folk. What I see at the moment, and Rossi you can already start to see it from Rossi's perspective, is that he's running out of table to play on, right? He can't, if he's not careful, he will actually literally run out of space to maneuver his objects around the field effectively. And the moment the maneuverability side of the game is no longer an option for a player, the game is a lot easier for the opponent. The rank and flank style games, for those of you not watching, you probably all played a lot of Song before, but rank and flank games like this are entirely dictated on movement. Dice and stat lines matter, but movement is actually what wins games. And controlling the flow of that movement, Carlo has taught lessons on things like tempo before, and this is all understanding movement and positioning. This idea, this concept, this kind of like practice, if you will, um, is a lot harder to do when you're stuck in a corner turtling. So I think,
Yeah.
I think these dragons. What I'm kind of worried about for Rossi is he actually going to spend the best part of 5 or 6 turns retreating into a corner, and then the dragons come forward and just get enough done in one turn that Rossi can't actually come back.
Exactly. If the dragons can do, as you said, dive in there and kill that marked watch marshal, of course, looking at the screen, the two pink trays
Mm-hmm.
are the marked units for Rossi. The two yellow trays, a bit harder to know which one's which on Zerotorque's side, but the two yellow trays, that being Drogon and Mother of Dragons herself, are worth +2 VPs each for being marked. The marked effects are that the Watch Marshal himself has Sundering, and the conscript unit, which is marked,
It's
has
vicious.
Vicious. On the other side, I believe that the dragons are giving precision and always attack with maximum ranks, which are obviously pointless as they already have those overlapping effects. I do think that's a relatively big improvement over the +2 attacks. I think it's a much needed improvement to the game mode in the way it interacted with certain units who could make huge advantage of being marked. But I like this move that he's made here, that Zerotorque's made, which is he's gone and put Rhaegar within range of these crossbowmen. But like I say, that shot itself would definitely be bait. He has almost undoubtedly got Fire Made Flesh in hand. He shooted for a card early on, I believe.
Yep.
He will be able to deny most of that damage. And so he should take advantage to press Rossi into his corner faster while giving up the option to be shot first, knowing that it won't be as damaging as, the theoretical worst could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. So, um, so all of these things being said, obviously Rossi, as people have agreed, like digging for cards. I can see Bob and Doxy's talking about it in chat. Tom obviously saying, yeah, it's difficult to come back from a turtle position. It is because you don't have the space, and more importantly, you don't have the you typically don't have the movement or impetus to get to the ports on the board where you can have the most impact. So yeah, it is a lot harder to come back into the game if you do that. Yeah, the thing about the improvement is onto Fire and Blood. Yeah, I generally speaking I agree. I actually don't like the objective cards too much. I think the objective cards are good. I think they are basically just giving out keywords. But I don't particularly like them. There's especially some very dirty combos with certain cards and certain units, which I think are really dangerous. And obviously, you're never going to see those things marked, probably. But
Exactly. So if we're
yeah,
talking specifically about Fire and Blood, one player chooses who to mark and the other chooses what effect they will gain. So really, if you've ended up in this situation where your opponent got given a token and then gained an effect from it, which was incredibly powerful, I have to say that that's at least 50% on you, if not 100% on you, because one of those decisions was yours.
we'll talk
There
about
are
it tomorrow.
always other units to mark in any sized game. Of course, in this game, Rossi's decision is, does he mark one dragon or two dragons? The dragons don't have a huge difference between them. They of course went for the very easy and not massively imaginative difference that they give out different tokens.
That huge, absolutely massive difference.
Exactly. Very defining of the three dragons. Hopefully, if and when they get made older and bigger and more dangerous, though they are already very, very dangerous and at a points cost level where they are only just about playable on the tabletop. So I can't really understand where they will go from their current juvenile level. But maybe if they do end up with bigger versions, then we will see more divergence in their rules.
Yeah. So, it looks like
Still going very
Zerotorque's
slowly here. We're waiting for Drogon to move somewhere. Drogon is, of course, very dangerous, being the marked dragon.
with
Again,
panicked.
he looks like he's continuing to press this corner space and offer an attack with the crossbows if wanted. This, of course, could be enough of a bait. This could be enough more of a tempting target that the crossbowmen want to get in there and start shooting. But you can instantly see that multiple dragons will attack in response back, and that will kill a unit very, very quickly. It's a question, really, of whether or not Rossi has the kind of cards that he wants to counter that. John's cards will be very important, as people were saying. And so, I think that the counterplay here between Firemade Flesh stopping damage and then John's cards being able to stop the actual death of units is very important. And we can
Yeah.
see that Rossi has already gone through almost half of his deck. He has 7 cards in hand, 2 are on the table, 11 are in his deck. Turn 1, he's gone through 9 of 20 cards.
I did not realize that he just played double Horn That Wakes a Sleeper.
Yep.
I apologize there. We've seen both Horn That Wakes Sleepers come out there. I completely missed that. I was too busy thinking and eating the remaining bits of my curry. So, what else are people saying in chat? Kieran, yeah, cheers, man. Scad, man, yeah. The overlays R Ace has been working on them a little bit. Carlo's going to be doing something. Actually, that's a good point. Are you working on that, Carlo, on the website? The thing that I said that you should work on and do? No, of course not.
No.
Cool.
Come on now.
Nah, that's a pipe dream, isn't it?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one
We'll
day.
see.
We will see. Infinite Wisdom American player in chat there, saying something about Special Dragon scenario.
Special dragon scenarios would be quite cool.
I actually think they would. For adult dragons, I actually think that would be appropriate. Better than actually adding them to the game mode, because I mean, what would you pay for an adult dragon? If points cost, right, it would have to be better than the juveniles that we currently see. So you'd be talking like a minimum 11-point unit, probably 12-point unit on its own.
So I would say I haven't actually played it, but I believe that people are quite happy with the way Thanos was implemented in Marvel Crisis Protocol, where he comes as, Marvel Crisis generally sells 2 characters at a time. Thanos comes in a box by himself, and he can be played against as a solo mission challenge where you play against him. I believe he can also be played where he is possibly your entire team, so that would effectively be the game's a bit smaller, so the equivalency would probably be around a 30-point list. Would be the dragon would just be by itself, and you could play the dragon. I don't think it works in Song in the same way, but yeah, as Blood Dragon says, possibly around 20-point dragons would be where it would fit if they were gonna reflect what a dragon that's not just a baby should be doing.
So 20-point dragons, and then with your other 20 points, desperately picking the cheapest thing you can get to get your activations up. In standard Carlo fashion.
Of course, it would have to have. See, that's where it gets difficult, but it would have to have some kind of reactivation mechanics or some kind of, counter mechanics. When it's attacked, it can do something. But that's very, very complex and very, very difficult to balance.
Yeah, definitely. Decay, I really hope 2021 dragons have more differences than the token. That's a discussion for another day, Decay. We will see that when 2021 finally comes out. But I think that is a discussion for another day.
I would say Carlo doubt on that.
Big Carlo doubt in chat. I'm very. I will apologise, guys, for those of you who would normally watching us on NRG today. There were some technical difficulties. The stream setup that I normally have for some reason is not working. It couldn't connect to any of the servers and things. Um, so we're on here today, but the reason I say I'm sorry is that a load of new emotes were added to the NRG Twitch chat. So we could have had some Carlo doubts in chat with that, but alas, they're not on the YouTube. Because you can't add emotes on YouTube, I don't think. Which I will look into, and I'm pretty sure you can, and I will do that. Because this is stats. Why shouldn't we have some Carlo doubt? Or some Carlo wow? Actually, good question, actually.
Because I have ascended to a meme on my own channel.
You are a meme on your own channel. Everyone needs it. Everyone needs it. Have you? Are you going to see any? Are we going to see any Carlo wow moments today? Do you think? We might see it with this opening shot.
Yeah, I mean, if we see some actual wounds that matter come off of a dragon based on this shot, then that would be a Carlo wow moment. I think that this game is just starting to open up. We're starting to see these ranger trackers make a move. They're looking, I think, to threaten, put some pressure on Mother of Dragons. If he can separate the Mother of Dragons from the rest of the dragons are far less dangerous. Though I doubt very much whether or not he will. He basically wants to be able to attack a dragon while it's not anywhere close to short range to Daenerys. That will then allow him to not have to fear any cards like Dracarys. And so creating a positioning where he can start to separate the MOD, start to say that if you move these dragons any more aggressively, I can go in and attack MOD. But that's a very, very technical positioning. The dragons can quickly reposition over to that side. But if doing so puts them within range of the Swan Brothers and Jon in return, then this game is getting interesting.
Definitely. See Nodnerb in chat there, which by the way is a great name. Nodnerb, love it. I was reading your chats on the or your comments on the stats chat actually from Monday, yeah, no, I agree. I actually agree. I do think adding dragons to the game, and certainly if you look at the most powerful ones, the full-grown ones, it is difficult. And yeah, to some extent, the large beasts and the powerful units going away would be it would be okay. I don't mind the giants being in it. Now, I'm not just saying it's a free folk, but I feel like they are. I feel like they're an inherent part of the free folk kind of idea. Like they're the instead of cavalry, you have giants kind of thing. But yeah, no, I think the idea of adding the really big beasts into the game is, yeah, it's gonna be fun, but it's literally never worked in a game I've ever played. So,
yeah. I think the existence of solos is a big issue. They are of course interesting. You know, they've been in the game right since the very earliest level, right? In the starter box, you get Rob and Greywind, right?
well,
They've always been there.
The Kickstarter had Mountain that Rises, right? The Mountain that Rides literally came in the starter.
Kickstarter came with Mountain that Rides,
which was another solo.
Have been in the game since its inception, but I think that the competitive community has, you know, brought about a realization that they're one of the things that is most easily abused to gain control, and so it can make things very, very difficult. The question to me always is whether or not these dragons can exist. Do we believe that a unit of cavalry is 4 men on horses, or do we believe that it represents more than that? Do we believe that a unit of Swan Brothers is 12 guys?
You talk about the abstract, right? The abstract nature of the figure game.
Lots of games use this abstract concept that, yes, you've got 12 miniatures, but it sort of more represents 50 guys, or, 30 guys, 48 guys, whatever it is. Every model possibly represents 4 people, but we're not going to give you that many models because that would be unreasonable and obscene, and it actually looks better on the table when there's less. But if you think about the battlefield in that way, in that abstract way, you start to think, okay, maybe dragons can partake in this. But then we come back to this idea, well, it's a solo, so does it represent 4 people or does it represent 1? once you start to work in those abstract terms, the whole sort of thing kind of takes on a different meaning. It's a
I
very,
mean,
very difficult conceptual thematic question, and also a very, very difficult balance question.
I completely didn't listen to anything you just said there, Carlo, because I read Chris Baker's comment in chat, which was dragons won't be a problem once the Greyjoys get their outflanking scorpions. To which point I say, yes, please give us outflanking scorpions, because I just want to have a scorpion appear behind things and just shoot it in the back.
On a ship.
Yeah, just on a ship. Just hey guys, I claimed the crown zone, and I get to put a scorpion behind your unit. Get wrecked.
When do we get ship trays? That's what I'm asking. When do the ship trays appear, and when do we start playing on naval boards?
This is actually, there's a very good question here relating to what you were talking about, Carlo. How many ships does a ship represent in the game? Is it the whole flotilla? Is it just So yeah, no. Yeah, no. I think the abstract nature, going back to the discussion, obviously the abstract nature of the game, and the scale is difficult because obviously free folk, is that 12 guys or is that 50 guys or is that more like 100 guys? Whereas with Night's Watch, is that 100 guys or is that more like 50? And I think the abstract nature means that like different factions actually have that block representing different numbers because of the nature of there's no way that a unit of Free Folk Raiders is the same size as a unit of Sworn Brothers, because by very definition, there were thousands of Free Folk, or hundreds at least, compared to what I think the Battle at the Wall, wasn't it? Like, literally like 50 guys, and a couple of guys from Moldtown or something?
Exactly. The Night's Watch can accurately be represented by just handfuls of trays, but different armies not so much, and it's very difficult to kind of represent that scale without them having wildly different stat lines. Just to answer some questions and to maybe highlight some things that happened. For Zerotorque, he opened with Walder Frey onto the letters, which was countered by a successful Varys token, which blocked the Walder effect, which he went onto letters, took 2 cards, and put a weakened onto the crossbowman. A very interesting counter was that Rossi activated the Watch Marshal, taking a maneuver to within a position where he could then allow the crossbowman to make a maneuver and get himself to safety. So what he's done here is he's looked to use the Watch Marshal to get 2 units to safety, himself and another unit, which were both kind of in a dangerous position. And in response, that's gonna kind of take a lot of the pressure off a dragon attack here. Of course, this crossbowman unit with the weakened token firing to fire made flesh will do very, very little damage at this point. And yet he's sitting just in a position where neither of them can reach each other, and he continues to further retreat into the corner, again trying to separate more distance between where Daenerys is and where the dragons want to attack. So it's an interesting opening up of his deployment zone. Bob says it's a boring game, but it's a very strategic game. When you're not willing to play these kind of strategic games, you're and understand this kind of strategic positioning and how important it is, then it's you're basically saying that you don't enjoy a song of Ice and Fire when played well, unfortunately.
Get wrecked, Bob. So, I want to go back to Danken's comment. Longboat units, you just get to throw a large ship at the table and anything still standing survives. That's a good idea, Danken, except that I don't want to be throwing like one of these 150-pound, you've pieced together like 50 actual planks of wood that have been cut down into micro sections, versions of like the HMS Victory, because actually throwing that at a table and watching it burst into flames and break would mean like literal years of time wasted. Jesus Christ, those things are hard to build. So no, although I do appreciate it, Duncan, I will probably just be using like shop bought toy boats, maybe rubber boats that I just used to have in the bath. Just throw them at the things. I can't believe I'm saying that. And yeah, Deoxys, those 12 Stark models actually do just represent one child. Actually, no, Deoxys, you're wrong. Can we just get that? Can we get that written down that Deoxys is wrong? And this isn't even my opinion at this point, I think. Doxies is just wrong. 12 start models actually just represent Osher. Yeah. That's all they're there for. Who's this Rickon guy you keep talking about? Deoxys, why do you keep talking about Rickon? No one knows who Rickon is. Osher, though, best lore in the game. Best lore in the whole books. Wasn't she born in, like, Essos?
This is really interesting positioning here by Rossi, and it's worth pointing out because it's exactly what I was discussing, and it is available to both ranged units, and I think it's something that lots of people don't understand and don't utilize well. I don't think it will matter in this case because the crossbowmen are weakened and Fire Made Flesh exists, so their attack isn't that dangerous right here. But he has positioned exactly 14 inches away at a diagonal to Drogon right now. So right now, as we stand, the crossbowman can shift 2 inches forward and shoot, but Drogon can't reach in return because he's not within 14 inches of his own center point. By the time he pivots, moves 6 inches, then moves 2 inches, he will still be just over 8 inches away. And that is effectively always available to ranged units if you face directly at your opponent's corner at a 45-degree angle, which is exactly what we have here. The crossbowmen are 45 degrees to the frontage of Drogon. Like I say, I don't think it will hugely matter. I don't think the first attack we'll see is these crossbowmen. And if it is, then I don't think we'll see any wounds happen. And in response, the dragons will just dive upon them. So I think that it's still very much a bait play. But it's interesting to see that he utilizes that position to try and put some pressure onto Zerotorque to do something with it.
Yeah. I mean, let's just have a little look at those hands. 7 cards in hand for Rossi. 7 cards in hand for Zerotorque, and I'm guessing a lot of those cards are Mother of Dragons cards, or cards that he's gonna throw away when the end of the turn comes around. Because let's face it, that Stark deck is a bit Stark deck? Targaryen deck. That's pretty sad. Do we actually know? Do we know if Zerotorque loaded in the original Targ deck, or is he using the one that was spoiled last week? Because if he's using the one that was spoiled last week, 100% Zerotorque's going to win this game. But yeah.
We'll not get into that just yet.
Is that for tomorrow?
If you want to, I'm sure it's actually for last Monday. If you want to see our opinions on the Targ deck, there's an hour and a half of a good rant from that. And to Bob, I'm not saying. Of course, the game is actually being played incredibly slowly. Like, I would like them to be playing quicker. They're overly measuring. This isn't great to watch. This isn't great to commentate. And it's not even great to play against, or, in my opinion, play as. Though play is easier to play as that. It's very easy to tend towards making a slow decision yourself, but be annoyed by your opponent's slow decision. They could, of course, be playing faster. But the style of play is what is good play in A Song of Ice and Fire. No, you don't have to take this long to do it, to make your decisions, to position like this. You can be much faster at it, both in TTS and in real life. But using and creating these positions, creating these situations, and the positional play involved in it is a huge part of being not just good, but actually great and winning actual really big games against other really good players. Tiny measurements like this matter so much, and that's the nature of any game which is pre-measured. Any game which is pre-measured requires you to be accurate with it, whereas when a game is not pre-measured, it's about who can guess a distance best and who's willing to take the most risks.
Yeah, I've played, as I'm sure you have, and I'm sure many people have here, have played these games where you're not allowed to pre-measure, and I'll be honest with you, my experience playing them is nearly always unpleasant. Because I feel like you just end up with having dumb arguments about things that you shouldn't need to have arguments about. And yeah, it just me and you, Carlo, talk a lot about playing with intent. And
of course,
you can't really play with intent when you have to measure.
There is no intent when when you don't know an exact distance, or you can be very, very specific with intent. Once you can measure a distance, you can say, I believe this unit is more than this distance away, and take a quick measure of it. Without it, like when a unit gets knocked, there's no idea, or it can matter a huge amount where a unit used to be, and you never could measure it before. I believe it's much better to play with pre-measure, but it can create situations if the players play it in a certain style.
Definitely. Nodnerb saying in chat, the max 5 cards in your hand rule is going to hurt Night's Watch. I think it is.
That depends if their deck's the same.
Yeah, what I actually think is that because of the nature of what we've seen already with the 2021 reveals, is that they want cards to be played more rather than being stale in hand. So as a result, they will be easier to play. As a result, getting 5 cards in your hand is less likely. This is going to create situations, especially with high-level play, where you keep certain cards in hand, which you're always going to do. You're always going to keep certain cards in hand, because they're really strong. But I think what you're going to see is very careful selective digging with other cards, in a very kind of like Magic the Gathering style way, where you're basically waiting to build up the super hand, and then the super hand comes out, and what you do is you kick people's ass. That's very common from these deck style games, rather than this, I'll play this card because I can style, which is actually a good thing to do in Song. You should play your cards because you can, but as we know, there are some cards which are very good. It depends if you're looking for tempo or value.
One of the cards we want to watch out for from Zerotorque here, I think, is one of the key cards for him in this very standoff game is going to be Unstoppable Advance.
Sure.
Unstoppable Advance, of course, without just being played at the start of a friendly turn, can give a unit +1 movement. If he ignores dangerous, hindering, and rough, and cannot suffer disorderly charges, doesn't really matter much. Dragons aren't really caring about that part of the card. But being able to pump that movement up to a 7 means that suddenly what wasn't in range can now be in range if we're dancing at this very half-inch distance where somebody can attack and somebody can't attack. But more importantly, it actually extends their threatening charge range to be really quite large. We generally see dragons tending towards taking ranged shots, not charging, because it means that they don't have to get engaged. But a 7-inch maneuver plus a 7-inch charge plus a d6 is actually 14 inches plus distance. And so really you can guarantee at 15, you can look to threaten 16 and 17 and even 18 with, a bit of risk. So I think that's a very important card, and if Zerotorque plays it right, he can really use it to good effect to get a dragon into a position and doing damage that Rossi's not expecting.
I'll tell you what I do like at the moment, and it's the Varus effect. Actually, this is what I'm going to call the Varus effect of what the tactics board looks like, right? So just to kind of cover this point and what I mean by this, in top level play, in play in general, people will fill the tactics board early, because you want to prevent your opponent from getting the upper hand on the tactics deck or tactics board in general, and you want to stop certain plays and combinations coming out. For most people, a free shot from crossbowmen is not something you want to have to put up with. You just take it away from them. Take swords, take it away from them. Deal with it. The problem is that because of the nature of how Varus works and the nature of what the zones are wanted for within this particular turn structure, neither player is actually willing to commit to the board too much after letters, because what they want to do is save the opportunity, for example, for Rossi to heal up with Amon and Craster, and Zerotorque wants the ability to be able to either heal up a dragon after a shot, or take a free maneuver after the crossbowman shot to set up a dragon, getting a charge perhaps into the flank of the crossbowman, rather than having to eat that stand and shoot order from the crossbowman. So you end up with a really weird setting, because and we finally see Zerotorque go for it. I think he's going to go for the horses. I genuinely think he's going to go for horses, or he might go for swords to just block it. Um, what do you think, Carly?
Possibly, yeah. The swords is quite dangerous to him late on in the round. I think that his third choice will have to be swords with Tycho. If he doesn't take it now, he's gone for the horses here, which means that he's looking to make a play himself. I would actually like to
Oh.
see Rossi use the leave the swords open to play as this very last thing of the round. Not taking the board is very much in Rossi's favor because he has a lot more activations to waste on table, whereas Zero, of course, he's wasted Mother of Dragons already. From now on, actions on the table are a whole dragon not being able to do a complete action. With their maneuver and shift and attack or charge and that whole combination of things, that's way more powerful than any ability they will gain from the tactics board. Whereas crossbowmen, their main action in most of their turns is going to be taking a shot. That can easily be, you can find that equivalent on the tactics board quite simply with swords. So I think it's very astute from Rossi to delay for as much as possible and to not get into an NCU race, because it's actually favorable to him to leave powerful actions open until the end of the round. I heard you groan as you saw Zerotorque move back with Drogon rather than aggressively with the horses. I do think that if Zerotorque doesn't make the first aggressive move, he will lose this game. At some point, Zero has to be the aggressor. Things are in Rossi's favor, and I really don't want to see us coast towards Zerotorque not doing anything all game. I really hope that he understands that he's not favorable, and as soon as he sees an opportunity, he has to go for it rather than letting Rossi dictate the pace.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is savage right now. What I mean by that, guys, is your this move, this move for me tells me that he doesn't want to engage Rossi this turn, right? And if I'm Rossi, I'm happy with that. It gives me more turn to set up. And actually, if you look at Rossi's positioning here, he's set up in a way that if something commits to the board, if something commits into the frontal ground, if you will, he actually can envelop it. He can envelop it with John. He can envelop with the Watch Marshal in the Ranger Trackers. He just collapses.
The solo Watch Marshal is even in a position to enable anybody else to take a maneuver too.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, the center ground of the board is very, very dangerous right now. Rossi has done has created a very adaptive, it's almost like an adaptive turtle. It's not just hiding in the corner. He's doing the far more advanced equivalent of a turtle, which is he's constantly creating a range in front of himself, which is very, very dangerous to move into without just continuously retreating.
Yes, he's prodding the bear.
At some point, Zero is going to have to use his maneuverability to do something about that. The problem is that if he, for example, tries to go in against the Ranger Trackers, then they're very, very maneuverable and they could run away with ease, and that's a lot of wasted time.
This is actually
what's going on.
Like I was going to say this is the reason that this works the way that it does is actually down to one or two very select cards within the Night's Watch decks. Specifically, Watcher on the Wall. Okay, Watcher on the Wall with that free march. It literally is a free march. That's a ridiculous movement that you can make with a unit into your next activation, which can be then activating that unit and doing something with it. And this is what's so scary, like a Sworn Sword charge with John in it. Maybe it's with Ghost having attacked just beforehand. into something like a side or rear of a dragon, like that's not that unlikely that the dragon dies. It really
Exactly.
isn't.
Especially if Ghost can be used to turn off the tactics cards, then we're into almost guaranteed kind of position. With it, it's still incredibly dangerous against Fire Made Flesh.
Sure.
As long as that sword zone remains open on the board, that too is going to be very, very dangerous. But what we're seeing here is we're seeing a good high level understanding of the fact that both players want to be aggressive at the end of their own turn where they're going second. So this is a turn where Rossi is trying to be aggressive at the end of this turn so that he can be aggressive into the start of his next turn when he's going first. Now, lots of people understand that concept. What lots of people miss is that on obviously on the flip side means that if you're not aggressive at the start of your own turn when you're going first, then it's a turn then when you probably need to be defensive. So although Mickey groaned when Drogon retreated with that horses, I do believe it's actually the right move. Zero has to time when he attacks, and it should be when he is going second, because it means that that Rossi will have one whole less activation after he finishes moving, and then he will get the first one at the start of next round. But I do fear, and the way he's positioning and the way he's approaching the game as a whole, I think he's going to miss his own window to make something aggressive happen at all. And Rossi will just continue to control this spacing at the current rate.
I think the issue with this style in this particular game mode with the out activations is that the best Zerotorque can ever hope for is having one of the 3 units that he probably gives a shit about already activated. So that's the crossbowman, John's unit, or the ranger trackers, right? Only one of these units can have been activated by the time that Zerotorque runs out of activations, because there's a double activation advantage, and that means that Zerotorque, like, he's probably better off just going for it all in, even though those units have still got to go, because he can never make the situation realistically much better. He wants to put a dragon in a position where, right, okay, my first activation is this dragon here. Are you going to do anything against that dragon? Because if you do and activate a unit to do it, well then my dragons are going to be in range, so you're probably not going to do anything. I can then position my next dragon to take advantage of the first dragon's positioning, and so on and so forth. I do think though it's really hard. I think I've played this matchup actually against this. I think it was this exact list. I really struggle to see when or how Zerotorque is supposed to break down the fortress, like without being a ridiculous risky play.
I'm really surprised that Zerotorque isn't. I think that one of the best things he can do to put pressure onto Rossi, and the odds are bad, right? So I understand why people don't go for it. But once you start to look through the ramifications of what it actually means, one of the best things he can be doing is taking a crowns test onto the Watch Marshal right now. Yes, the -1 means that he fails on a 4, right? A double 1 or a 1-2. He's only got 3 different rolls out of 36. A 1 in 12 chance to kill this unit. But if he kills the Watch Marshal, he is absolutely in the driving seat. And it and Ghost are the only 2 units that can remotely be killed in this game. Just gone in an action. He's never going to achieve it with Walder. He can't rely on Walder because of Aemon and Craster. And so he should be taking that chance. As soon as he starts to take that chance, in my opinion, you start to put at least a bit of doubt into Rossi's mind that sitting in his own corner and playing defensive is in his own advantage. Then Rossi's starting to count, how many panic tests do I give you? And am I willing to let you crown attack me 6 times in the game, which 1 in 12 chance? Basically, you're going to have roughly a 50-50 chance that one of them is going to kill the Watch Marshal. That's a the game's at a 50-50 dice roll at that point. And so you start to change his behavior as soon as you start to claim that crown and use it aggressively. And I think that would change the dynamic of the whole game. It would be hugely luck dependent, but it's what he can do to put himself back in the driving seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree.
I even think that he should be using his Varys tokens and the letters combination to put out panic tokens, then deny the removal of the panic token as a way of setting up that into much better than a 1 in 12 chance. As soon as a panic token's on that unit, we're looking for a 1 on either the first dice rolls for this to actually have an okay chance of killing their opponent. You can really push that up into having, you're effectively, at worst, you can double the number of tests you're taking. If they pass the first one, you just ask them to roll the dice again. And if you even see a 1, then you've got a 1 in 3 chance when you re-roll the other dice that it's just going to be a kill. Once you start to look at it in those kind of ways, once you start to see those odds, it actually becomes a very attractive offer, and kind of under appreciated that could be the best thing for him right now. What can I say other than the pace that they're playing this game is painfully slow, and that is why the chat is talking about it. Genuinely, it is a question of have they paused the game. I do agree that it seems to be mostly one-sided, but yeah. Let's hope that things start to speed up once we see some combat. I think this will get bloody and very aggressive as soon as somebody makes an attack.
Yeah. When this game starts, it will really start, I think. I'd like to see Drogon come over to the left-hand flank of the Ranger trackers and just start shooting them. Just bring Drogon. I don't even know if Drogon's in range, but just move him 6 there. Shift to 8 inches plus the 6. Yeah, come on, that's got to be 14-inch gap. Come on, Drogon. You're about an inch there, 2 inches. You're probably not actually within. Nah, you probably are within 14 inches. Just come over here, and smack a shot into the Ranger trackers, and force Jon to come out, and then Rhaegal can do something. Maybe the Ranger trackers can do something. Ghost coming across now actually kind of ends that potential aggression. Because that's now scary, whereas before Ghost was probably not going to be in range to get his card off. I think Zerotorque probably just there. Maybe he just lost his opportunity by pulling across Viserion. Oh well.
Of course, Bloodraven hits back with the reality of the fact that, particularly with half of his deck in hand, the token won't do a whole lot because of Fire That Burns Against the Cold. That, of course, is going to marginalize your options. And what's much worse is I hadn't thought about the Jon cards. I forget what it particularly is called, but, he can, of course, back that up by taking a test to survive. That will marginalize the odds, but I would have liked to see him have I'd like to have seen Zerotorque be aggressive right from the start before Rossi ended up with half of his deck in hand. That could have given him a way to change the entire dynamic of the game right from the start. And there wasn't a whole lot he would lose from it. And to go for it is an understanding that he's in the negative position in terms of a standoff. He doesn't have the activation advantage, and he doesn't have more models on the board because he has more points invested in NCUs.
Could I just point out that in terms of luck in this game, aside from cards in hand, which we obviously can't comment on, there has been basically no luck this game, aside from maybe a few Varys rolls. Right? Like, there hasn't actually been a die roll that's been more than just a Varys roll. Like, what you're seeing here, guys, is like entirely a game of movement and positioning. No luck. And yes, it was probably me breathing really loudly, Decay. I was just having a mild fit. But yeah. It's been a long day. Actually, it's been a very short day for me. But yeah, lots of things. The flare on the coastline. It is. It is the flare of the coastline. Eee. So, I mean, what people saying in chat, take the crown in great, even to force use of Night's Watch card. Yes. Mexican standoff. Yeah. You know what I want to see? I want to see just Drogon. Just this Drogon. Lovely paint job by Yannick, Tabletop Warden, of course. Just come out. Come over here. Kick the shit out of these guys. They might do something. And then all hell will break loose. That's what I want to see. I want all hell to break loose. Okay. That's 20 inches? He's going a long way. A supple advance. 21 if he marches, right? The 6, 7 times 3, basically.
There we go.
Finally.
I was pretty sure that Unstoppable Advance was going to be a very key card. And that is a very big move. Yes. The speed at which he's managed to switch the attack here is very, very important. This positioning of the Ranger Trackers and the Swarm Brothers to be in a position to attack Danny has, of course, separated them away from the crossbowmen. I think they're checking if the crossbowman could shift back and see, and they can't. That means that he can't just shift, shoot, and kind of regain position as well as getting an attack off. This dragon is quite separated away from the rest of everybody else, but he is in a very aggressive position to attack the Watch Marshal, which, being a non-marked dragon, puts him in the position where he can dive in, get those 3 points, and only give up 1 in return. This is a great move, and the kind of thing that I was hoping that Zero would go for at some point.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And we see the crossbowmen are like, get away from there. That was my terrible voice. But literally running away from the dragon. So yeah. I'm happy this happened because, you know, something might actually...
For those who've stuck around, this is what you were waiting for. This game, while it may continue to get played slightly slowly, turn for turn, small positioning still going to matter a lot. Things are about to get very interesting, and this game's about to open up based on whoever does the best out of this exchange between Rhaegal and half of a Night's Watch army. Whoever comes out with the most VPs from the exchange will now be the person who kind of is in control of the positioning, and the other will just have to throw caution to the wind and start getting aggressive.
Those of you on stream there, I just finally got my Dragonfire thing ready while we can something fun for us to do while we talk about the game. But yeah, well, the crossbowmen have moved. We've seen Unstoppable Advance come out. This is. I mean, the problem is here, right? Zerotorque has to do something else now. Okay, with Drogon, because the crossbowmen have readjusted. You've got to remember that swords is still open. There is other things. So this is definitely going to be Tycho onto swords, right? 100%, just to stop the free shot.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, so we see the shot, and I don't think he's in range, so he's going to draw another card of Mother of Dragons.
What I would actually really like to see is I would like to see Rossi get aggressive on the opposite side of the board. I would like to see him counter this by starting to get aggressive with his Ranger Trackers onto either Viserion or Drogon. Viserion's probably the easier target by positioning, but Drogon is, of course, generally considered the slightly better dragon because of the panic token, but also he's marked, making him a far more attractive target. I would like to see him trade aggression for aggression rather than just get defensive in this corner and hope that he can keep his Watch Marshal alive, or even the conscripts. The conscripts will melt very, very fast if Rhaegal can continue to push and maybe even get a flank charge. I'd like to see this game really, really open up by some aggressive Night's Watch play.
Yeah, definitely. I just remind people, because we've not talked about them for like ever. These guys, these conscripts, they looking like in a really compromising position now with Rhaegal over there. Do you not think? Like with
Absolutely,
their
even
flank
even
just
with their flank open,
like
it's an interesting choice.
yeah. Carlo.
I think we're likely to see this be swapped just for another tactics card. I can't imagine that he believes a panic test onto Mother of Dragons is worth more than one tactics card in this situation. Both players are actually in the almost awkward situation where their hands are too big and too good to ditch any cards, but they're not playing cards right now, so they're not gaining any cards. I think this is very much the situation that they want to get away from. Um, in terms of what they could have, of course, surviving an attack, which is off the top of my head, it shall not end until my death, for Jon Snow,
Yep.
is going to be very, very key. You have to be assuming that your opponent has at least some combination of the cards that they need. If he doesn't have that, then and now my watch is ended, or Watcher on the Wall are two incredibly important counters to being attacked and being able to turn that back on itself and make an aggressive play off the back of a loss. For the Targaryens, I think that Unstoppable Advance is still actually very, very important. And so if he has another, that's super, super powerful. Fire Made Flesh is way more important than Dracarys or Dragon's Flight, unless he can force, basically, can force Rossi to attack into his bubble, but that I really don't see happening.
No. No, I don't see that happening at all.
If he can get the kill, then Overrun is also a very important card.
Yeah.
It can make a charge, an attack, and kill from Rhaegal a very important important double attack, double move. There is a big question actually whether or not a charge can fit currently into the Watch Marshal, or whether or not there's a 50% there, or if the Builder Crossbowmen are actually blocking the back of it. If the charge isn't possible, then presumably getting into the flank, what is currently the flank of the crossbowman, and taking another shot could be possible. It's all going to be inches and millimeters at that point, which is why I think that Unstoppable Advance is very important again.
Definitely. Definitely so. I don't really know what to say anymore. I don't feel like I've got any more insight, because your insight's just better than mine. And
the big question is whether or not he's going to double up and commit to this attack with Drogon. That effectively says, I'm not here to kill the Watch Marshal and die. I'm here to make an attack on this flank, because you're committing a 3 VP dragon at that point. That, of course, will really open the game up. Or if he's going to continue to use Drogon defensively, protectively of Viserion and Mother of Dragons, if Drogon flies off over to support Rhaegal, then I think we'll see a very concerted attack onto Viserion and MOD herself.
yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, I really like Zerotorque to just grab Viserion and Drogon and just go down the side of the board. Limit the options that you have to deal with, because you only have to deal with the side of the board that's open. The Ranger Trackers and, of course, Jon's unit will be there. But at this point, I don't know. At this point, Zerotorque's just got to do something, right? Because he's not winning this game over time. That's the thing that I'm learning from this position, is that he can slowly make the maneuver game something, but unless he's willing to come inside Zerotorque's range at some point, he's not going to do well. And he needs, in my opinion, when he goes in, he should be going in mob-handed, right? Go in with everything and actually do something of any real of consequence. Because if you don't go in mob-handed and you just let your things get picked off and get free shots at, you'll find that you'll run out of steam quite quickly. Like I can see Rhaegal just getting shot here. He'll probably get healed by Tycho. He will make it through the blast, but Rossi will then have tools to just kill Rhaegal when he's down in the corner. And you've not really solved the problem that Rossi was presenting.
I would like to see Drogon join Rhaegal because, as you say, between Fire Made Flesh, Tycho, and Tycho's healing, he can weather an amount of damage, but put out a near unstoppable amount of damage in return. I would love to see him take that risk on, rather than
This.
just try and grab like a sneaky kill, because I don't think that Rossi will let it happen.
And
I think he has to put enough concerted pressure, and the only thing he actually really needs to be scared of is the Jon Sworn brothers combined with Ghost. Now, if he can stay away from their range, and they're currently relatively central, but because of the positioning, they'll find it hard to get past the crossbowman. I would love to see him switch his attack to, as the viewers are looking at it, right-hand side of the screen, as he's looking at it, his own left-hand flank. With Rhaegal, I'd like him to just attack down that side. And, you know, as and when Jon comes back to protect that side, he can run away, because that's the real danger unit. Yes, there are other danger units. Yes, the crossbowmen can do damage. Yes, the Ranger trackers with their Watch Marshal can double tap for big explosive potential. But you have to accept that risk, know that you have Fire Made Flesh, know that you have Tycho, understand that Fire Made Flesh can actually, its massive overpoweredness is that you choose after you see how many wounds you're going to take. That is just like, basically, you don't even need to play it. You can play it responsively rather than proactively. You get to know when attack is big and deny a big attack, rather than just thinking, okay, this could go badly, therefore I have to play it. So I think at the moment we're cruising towards Zerotorque, and I say cruising, we're possibly snail's pace dragging ourselves towards Zerotorque losing this one by a small margin. We see the last NCU activation go down, and we see a big panic pass from MOD. We see the token get used, and I think we're going to see Rossi do something here. It's all Rossi to go. Rossi to take the first action next round. He uses the panic token. It picks him up 2 wounds. He, of course, wanted to see something better on the D3 for that. But here we go. Let's see. Looks like he's instantly going over to collapse in on Rhaegal. But I do think we're going to see some action.
Yeah, hopefully. I'd like to see him just march up to Rhaegal, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what we see. The first activation next round will almost definitely be these Ranger trackers double tapping into Rhaegal, probably using their first move to get even further away from Viserion. He wants to make this not a trade for trade situation. He wants to make this, I can kill Rhaegal without losing anything. And if he does that, then really we're going to have to see something from Zero straight away in response.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The chance of a kill is very, very low, but he can force Zero to expend a lot of resources, which he's spent quite a long time building up to prepare for this moment. That means that next time it comes around, next time he gets an opportunity to be aggressive, then it will be pointing towards a kill. Between, of course, I hadn't even considered that he can throw out the vulnerable token at the start of any turn here. Between that token and 2 shots, I think that Fire Made Flesh and a Tycho heal, which can at any time, i.e., intercede the 2 attacks, it can step in between those 2 processes. The chances of Rhaegar dying is almost non-existent. The real question is will Zero take the loss of losing Tycho and possibly 1 or even 2 Fire Made Fleshes and just retreat away in a 0-0, or will he understand that he's committed and have to dive in with the rest of his dragons?
Okay.
Start of round 3. No cards discarded, obviously, after 7 in each hand.
Yeah.
And surely we will now see the first attack of the game.
Yeah, we've got to. We've got to see. I mean, do you run the risk of taking swords knowing that Varys exists, and as a result, your opponent might try to take swords if you don't take swords? Like, you know, I don't know. You get my thing.
For me, absolutely not. I think
Yeah.
I want to double tap. I want to make that aggressive move. Not only does it puts me into the flank, which I believe, I believe he can continue to go towards. I believe that Rossi can continue to move towards his own flank edge, take a maneuver that triggers their shot. That's another 2-inch sideways shift. You'll be in the flank now. I think take a shot, attack. Off of the maneuver, then use your action to shoot again. Do I think the dragon will be dead? No. But do I think that the dragon will be in a position where he can't kill anybody in response? Yes. The things that you want to be scared of are Rhaegar getting in and killing the Watch Marshal. And what this cavalry move over into this position would do is it would block the position that Rhaegar needs to go through to get to the Watch Marshal. Of course, it can ignore units, but he doesn't have enough movement to fly right over it with his initial maneuver. I would love to see somebody just take an assertive, aggressive action here.
Yeah.
Instead, we see Varys activate, and we may well be seeing Varys used on Varys here. We see a success. My guess is that I would try and shut down Varys for the turn. This is going to be a very important round, and if you can get knowledge of being able to impact the board fully, then I think that will be very powerful.
So the Varys obviously successful. He's taken the swords. He stopped the shot, I'm assuming. I actually think, I genuinely think. Oh, this is horrible, but do you stop Varys? Do you shut off Varys' ability if you're Zerotorque this turn? Knowing that you can then take horses, bags, letters.
I think at this point he needs to play a big round, and therefore I would like to see him be able to use the board aggressively.
Why did? Yeah, I just did not realize that he discarded loads of cards there. Yeah, he discarded 5 cards. I did not see that. Decay, thank you for pointing it out. Sorry. Blood of the Dragon, gone. Whoops. Blood of the Dragon gone, and then we've got what was it? Dracarys and Dragon's Flight both gone.
Yeah. We've seen 2 Dracarys, 2 Dragon's Flight, Blood of the Dragon, and Unstoppable Advance, all gone, which presumably means that his current hand is, of course, going to be Fire Made Flesh twice, I assume. I assume they're the cards that he dug for, plus another random card.
You just love
I-
Hobbit.
I-
Hobbit, I don't recognise you around here, but I appreciate your comment immediately. I got to say, this is a better ending than the TV show for John and Danny. Yes, as someone who has watched the TV show, I can agree that this game right here is a much, much better ending than the TV show. I had forgotten about. I mean, I also have to hate you slightly because you reminded me about something I thought I'd purged from my memory. Because the TV show was you saw the TV show, didn't you, Carlo? Or is it one
I
of these?
have seen the TV
Yeah.
show, yeah.
You haven't read the books, right? Is that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, of course it was bad.
Of course it was bad.
There are very, very few shows I've ever watched which lasted more than a couple of series, which didn't end badly, in my opinion, TV shows wise. It was always going to be a disappointment. You would have hoped that it wouldn't be that big a disappointment, and it felt very empty at the end. But most shows do.
Yeah, I mean,
I do like
yeah.
this major discard by Zerotorque. I think it's very it's just good analysis of his own hand and understanding that all of those Danny cards, they don't help him at all. You know, and being able to swap out for even just drawing one new card, but more specifically, not getting caught into the trap that I have a lot of cards, therefore I can only draw more cards with letters, is you know, absolutely a case of you know, a very good play and understanding what you need at the right time is more important than just quantity of cards.
So, I ask you a question here, Carlo. Zerotorque has been fishing those cards out of his deck. Has he been fishing them out of his deck, knowing that he's only going to discard them? I think that's a. I don't think that that's just a play where he's like, oh, I should get rid of these because I just need to draw other cards. No, I think he has drawn these cards specifically earlier so that he can do this, right? So he can get those cards out of the way, out of the deck, and just out of the way, knowing that he can then draw more cards.
That's definitely possible. Yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't do it last turn.
A way of thinning his own deck and knowing that he's pulling a particular card just to discard it, kind of improving the quality of the rest of his deck. It
was like life on your council estate. Well, Hobbit. Which is both interesting and also strange, because I don't have dragons where I live. So I really hope you don't have dragons around your council estate, because that sounds scary as shit. Anyway, West Coast, at the end of the game we need to see Drogon move up for a ranged attack against John, but Zerotorque just tossed the first player token off the board instead. That would be thematic, but we all know that actually what you see is this old man in this wooden chair. Bartender's been working on it, but we're waiting for the moment when 2021 finally comes out. This old man on the chair is going to get off the chair and slowly walk over to the Iron Throne and sit on the Iron Throne as his last send-off for 1.6. That is what Bartender's been working on. Did you know that one, Carlo? The animatronics there.
No, that one's news to me. That super secret information just for the contributors to the TTS mod, like yourself, Mickey.
It is, yeah. It's the super secret information that that is going to be the end of 1.6 when Walder finally sits on the Iron Throne, and then, like Bob suggests, someone yeets the Iron Throne out of the window with Walder still on it. God, I'll be happy when he disappears.
I expect to see a Weakened come down here.
Yeah.
Onto the crossbowman.
Yeah.
This is gonna increase Rhaegar's odds. He's already stacking very much into Rhaegar being able to be a bait to be attacked. It's a very, very slow but interesting set of plays going on here. I do, of course, wish that they'd come to that decision to play Walder much faster, but it is a very tough one. You know, any player could make an aggressive activation on the board right now, but we're very much in a position where one bad activation, one bad attack, which you think will do good damage, just fluffs and does nothing, be it because of cards, be it because of weakened tokens, be it because you thought you could get a flank but you can't, or the reverse of all that, where you think a dragon is safe but suddenly damage will just fly through your unit. You know, we're in a very tight situation here. I do still think that either of them just needs to have the balls to go out there and make an aggressive play. I think we're going to see Craster here in response, just taking money bags to try and take the weakened token off. We see a Varus token get used to block. I still expect to see likely the money bags blocked here.
Yeah, I can see. Um,
West Coast says he must have missed the Rhaegal attack. It still hasn't come.
oh, I do apologize, guys. I've got my sound is cutting.
So the Varus that you see on the swords is actually belongs to Rossi, and he was blocked by his opponent's Varus from taking a zone at the time, and then Walder went on to letters in response.
Yes, yeah, we saw that. We saw exactly that happen, didn't we? So we see that was the last Varus token used, right? Yeah, it was the last Varus token used. Another success, and I'm guessing we're gonna see money bags
We
take.
actually end up we end up with horses. We'll see.
Didn't he just
I
he just Varused it, right?
I think
He succeeded the Varus roll.
yeah, he did succeed in the Varus, so he blocked the horses. Moneybags can take that vulnerable away, but I don't want to.
What
He wants to save that to be able to heal as well.
drops the unstoppable advance on Viserion?
Definitely looks like he wants to get
Okay.
Viserion into the action. The question is does the unstoppable advance put him within a possible range to kill off ghosts? That would be quite a big play if it did.
And we see. Oh, so we still see Varus come out. Varus token being used by. No. Takes the money bags, takes off the vulnerable token, exactly what we think. And oh no! Fury of the Dragon! I'd forgot that this was even a card. Hey Zeus. Hey absolute Zeus. Fury of the Dragon comes out. Free maneuver. Pardon me. Free maneuver. And the big bit, every time you successfully charge, the enemy becomes panicked or vulnerable. Not like you matter that much with a bunch of dragons that give up tokens anyway, but you can get the other one out potentially. Is he going to move Viserion? And he's just going
It
to.
looks like he's going to use that plus 1 inch movement that he got. He's going to bring Viserion 7 inches over the stakes. The position he's looking for is one where he is currently threatening an attack on both the Ranger Trackers and Ghost. That means that Rossi can't get them both to safety. The Ranger Trackers, of course, are actually in a dangerous position because they can be attacked by both dragons. Ghost is in a dangerous position because any one attack on him will kill him.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Um, Hobbit. Board games are hardly ever exciting. It's the depth of tactics which makes me dribble. I'm going to just kind of assume that that's dribbling from the mouth in kind of like they're salivating you rather than dribbling elsewhere. Because if you're dribbling elsewhere, you should get that checked out. Um. Anyway, uh, it's right. So we've seen this maneuver. We've seen it's now the ball is in Rossi's court, right? We are still yet to see, but I would like to point out again, guys, this is a turn now where people believe that going to the tactics boards first. We've basically see it filled, and then finally we see a 6-inch maneuver or 6-inch maneuver coming out from Rossi with the Ranger trackers, and this is going to
Yeah,
be a turn. Just turn that 90 degrees back, and then shift 2 inches,
and then
smack them,
absolutely
and then shift 2 more inches,
shoot
smack
him in
them.
the flank. Let's see how far he gets.
So he's definitely in the
Here we
flank.
go, guys. Things are about to start rolling dice.
Guys, guys,
Not going
guys.
to commit to dying. I'm not sure if anything's going to die just yet, but we're going to see some dice come out.
Can we get some hype in the chat for the first attack happening of the game in round 3? The first attack of the game happening in round 3, and it's going to be a big one. It is the 7 dice on 3s with the Ranger trackers. Ooh, 4 hits. Yeah, no rerolls for you. Wasn't a charge. Should have charged. 4 hits coming out.
This is still the free shot off of the maneuver, of course. I assume he's using the order here.
That's 3 wounds.
I think he's going to keep that vulnerable for his next shot. See, this is why the Ranger trackers are very dangerous, because Fire Made Flesh is very powerful. It's being played here. It's going to drop it down to only 1 wound. But Fire Made Flesh is great against a huge spike damage. But what the Ranger trackers do here is they apply their damage in little chipping amounts. Each one threatens, do you want to use Fire Made Flesh on this? Are you going to save 2 wounds? Are you going to save 3 wounds? You know, whereas Fire Made Flesh wants to be used against a huge damage, which would instantly kill the dragon and then just massively saves it. We see a big 6 hits this time into the flank, and that is another 5 wounds. That's the card which Fire Made Flesh wants to block, and I was surprised he used it on the first 3 wounds.
5 wounds. Going out. I assume he's not going to block anything. And the 6th wound is probably not worth doing because it doesn't actually kill him anyway. We're re-rolling the on the vulnerable.
The panic, the vulnerable token, empowering and threatening what the crossbows could do. They are weakened. Whether or not they'll actually achieve that is unlikely. But I think that Zero's been very, very rash there using Fire Made Flesh on the first attack, which didn't go that well.
He hasn't taken the wounds yet. It sounds like he's thinking about whether or not he plays the second one. And he's trying to evaluate what's better. Because, of course, there is the opportunity for him to take those wounds and then Tycho them off. Yeah, so he spends the Tycho to effectively heal off those 5 wounds he's just taken. So Tycho is gone, right? Resource number 1 for Zerotorque, gone, disappeared.
I expect his counter here to be Tycho to tutor back Fire Made Flesh.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be.
Although it leaves him open to more attacks, there aren't many more powerful attacks that he'll have to ride out this turn. And he can wait to bring Viserion over to kill something else later on in the round. And Rhaegar remains in an aggressive position. Is he in the advantageous position right now? No. You know, he's lost his Tycho and hasn't really gotten anything to show for it just yet. But I think bringing back that Fire Made Flesh secures his position in a way that also, you know, is free actions rather than allowing Aemon onto the board to heal up later on in the round.
There's no way he's thinking about this, is there?
The only other realistic option, I think, is for him to go into Ghost. That, of course, could be a kill, but because of It Shall Not End Until My Death, it's actually quite risky, particularly with John kicking around so close around.
I don't know. I think Zerotorque might be thinking about killing Ghost. I also think Zerotorque might be thinking about going into the crossbowman here with a long bomb charge. Well, obviously with the seven movement. I think the 19 inches it's going to require to get there are somewhat reduced. Um, so I think it would only be like a 3 or 4 plus charge. But yeah, I mean, there's a long bomb charge still. There's probably
It is a
five
long
plus
charge,
4 5.
and even worse than that, I don't. He couldn't possibly kill the unit, as far as I was aware.
No, you can't.
And the Swarm Brothers will be in a position to counterattack him. Between the Swarm Brothers and Ghost, I see an almost guaranteed return kill. Um, so yeah, I think that's very, very dangerous. I think attacking into Ghost, if It Shall Not End to My Death gets played, then that's also a very risky situation because Ghost can bond into an attack to shift over, generating a 50% spacing so that then the Swarm Brothers can charge in and then Viserion is dead again. So
I'd like
if
to
Viserion
see.
goes in and doesn't kill what he wants to kill, then he's going to get killed in counter. Actually, Rhaegal in his current position is the safest of the dragons,
I'd like to
as
see
opposed to
him.
Viserion
Yeah,
making a big, big, long charge into this very, very dangerous ground around these Swan Brothers.
I'd like to see Rhaegal position. Yeah, so I like what he's going to do with Rhaegal here. I think he's going to position him like basically back, using the Ranger trackers to block. Um, But unfortunately, I don't think he can ever get into the flank of the Ranger trackers, meaning he can't charge into the flank and fit into this gap. And I mean, imagine if Rhaegal could get into this little gap in between the board edge and the Ranger trackers. That would have been perfect. Um, but alas, he's just
Absolutely.
going to stand here. I think he's just going to shoot them. The problem is if he shoots, it's the the crossbowman can come forward with Watcher on the Wall and get a shot off onto Rhaegal. There's also the opportunity for the Watch Marshals to just maneuver into position and the crossbowmen to get that free maneuver up as well, um, into a position where they can shoot Rhaegal again. But that's where he's using Viserion on the flank there with Unstoppable Advance to offer a threat range if the crossbowmen come up. Um, this is the turn.
Absolutely. I think that the Watch Marshal could come in clutch here. The Watch
Yeah,
Marshal can move up and either reposition the Ranger trackers so that the Builder crossbowmen have view again, or he can reposition the Builder crossbowmen so that they can see around and shoot Rhaegal. I think that they would probably be better off retreating the trackers away to generate the position because the Ranger because the crossbowmen will be able to take the shot as long as the trackers get out of the way. It's actually absolutely touch and go right now whether or not they could possibly already be in line of sight. But what we actually see is a charge coming in from Rhaegal. Of course, Fury the
that,
Dragon is still in play, so they should become panicked or vulnerable. He
goes for
chooses
the
the panic
panic,
token.
which makes sense. I can see the panic
Uh,
being more relevant
I
given
forget
that
which one Rhaegal is.
Rhaegal's weakened.
Rhaegal
Viserion's the one that
applies
you run
weakened.
with Barristan, so Rhaegal's weakened. Because I know that you run the Barristan, the vulnerable one with Barristan. And we see the failed panic chest coming out there because it's the -3 from the Court Spile and the Vicious, because I'm pretty sure within short range. Um, so yeah, another 3 wounds. So I mean that was 9 wounds, which is pretty good. I mean that's on the upper end of the damage you'd expect to do. Um,
Yeah,
Immediately,
I think
Aemon
he's
comes out.
forgotten to give out the weakened token there.
No, he hasn't. The
The weakened was
crossbowman.
already on the crossbowman.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, yeah. In which case he has.
Um, we see Amon instantly respond with that heal. That's why I thought that maybe Tycho going on to the crowns and swapping for 5 made flesh would have been powerful.
Yeah.
Amon goes on, jumps in, grabs a heal um, onto the Ranger trackers, and in response we get this crowns test, which is another pass. He's done very well to stay healthy with Daenerys off of those odd crown zaps, though that is one of the main powers of the Blackguard, which is that they have that 6+ morale.
So, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% here, but he passes Tycho, ball goes into Rossi's court. Um, can Rossi just waste some activations now? Waste the conscript.
I was
He's
just
gonna
about to
like
say, I
waste some
think
other
he
dragons, right?
wastes with the conscript, waits with the conscripts. I think that becomes a waiting game, and possibly Mother of Dragons waits in response. Then then the question is, what are you going to wait with next? You could use Ghost, but I think that Ghost with the bond is one of the most dangerous things that you have. Interesting. Yeah, Bob says, no Watcher yet, but I don't think that Watcher would have had a huge impact just yet. He doesn't want to commit to showing and using it. And I think that the crossbowmen, where they are, they will be able to shift and grab a corner line of sight to Rhaegal. As far as I'm concerned, Rhaegal, as far as I can see, Rhaegal's actually not quite in the right position. Yeah, we see Rhaegal actually repositioning now. He should be a bit further over.
Reminder: he should overhang. He actually should overhang ever so slightly, um, because bases and base sizes. That's the thing. Remember. Um, but yes, conscripts are just going to come up and shuffle in. I guess as a support tool. I see nothing wrong with this. This prevents Rhaegal from doing something really annoying like jumping over the top and getting at the conscripts. It's going to have to be a bit more solid play. It's effectively a pass activation from Rossi. Does Zerotorque just shuffle the Mother of Dragons to be outside of 6 of the court's pile, but somewhere else? So basically
Of
putting the
course, one of the
ball.
cards that he wants to be nervous of is hit and run if he ever tries to make an attack
Yes.
with those ranger trackers. Um, of course, units can't retreat forward even when they're only engaged from the front, even though dragons can ignore units when they retreat with their movements. They still can only retreat sideways or backwards when engaged from the front. So he can't fly over the unit that just attacked him. But it looks like we're into a bit of a passing activation game, which will lead into Rossi having maybe one more attack this round. And interestingly, Zerotorque is going first next round. He has done well to take advantage of the turn when he was going second, minimizing the amount of damage that he takes during that round, but leaving himself in a position where he might get kills at the start of the next round.
So, I mean, it's got to be the Watch Marshal play here, right? You've just got to. I think you've just got to use the Watch Marshal and just do.
I'm not sure. The Watch Marshal is an important tool to getting the Swarm Brothers into position, but I wouldn't want to commit the Swarm Brothers anywhere until I'd seen where Viserion goes. I don't
So,
think that you can wait long enough. You don't get Watch Marshal, Ghost, and Swarm Brothers and before Viserion. You can see Drogon go somewhere and you could make an aggressive move towards him. I think that the crossbowman, you have to expect that you won't get a kill, so you might as well open yourself up to Viserion and see if he's willing to come in, because that's very advantageous trades to you, in my opinion.
yeah, it looks like. I mean, this is not terrible play, right? He's moving, shifting the forward to get a shot onto Rhaegal in the flank, I believe. He's going to take a panic test for this, but he can't die from the panic because he's on 5 wounds. It's a good hit. It's 7 hits into the flank of Rhaegal.
Surely, yeah. We see the the weaken token get used, but we also see fire that burns against the cold counter that instantly.
Yep,
Um,
we expect that.
with sundering and flank, this is actually very dangerous. We see 4 sixes come out, but
Oh,
that
the
vulnerable
vulnerable.
token still being there is going to be massive.
Yep, the vulnerable comes out.
I think we need to see at least one save. We
He
do see
gets it.
one save. So he's gonna play that Fire Made Flesh anyway, but that's gonna be 3 wounds, no Fire Made Flesh in hand right now. That means that he's in a very vulnerable position at the very start of next round. With Tycho gone, both Fire Made Flesh is gone. Now we're gonna start to see dragons dying. Now we're in the threatening position.
Reminder: he should be taking a panic test on the Watch Marshal unit.
I believe he actually rolled it at the same
I
time.
did.
I kind of assumed that this panic test, this 2 reds and a white that he rolled at the same time, was his panic test. If so, it looks like a pass at the
It
moment. He has the
is.
panic
Yeah.
token, of course. So I think that I'm surprised that Zerotorque wouldn't play onto that, considering there's a 3. But of course, with 5 wounds, he can't get a kill.
Yeah, maybe it just doesn't matter. But I actually like it as an option because you can, if you take it now and make it fail, you leave the opportunity for a take crowns just as zap kill you if you don't heal the unit. It
This
also
is an
means that
interesting position. He's just measured that he's about 15 inches away from Jon Snow,
just over.
just over. With a pivot, it's possible that you could make that into 15 inches with a charge. The question is whether or not the Watch Marshal moves up, moves Jon Snow brothers so that they're now 10 inches from Drogon, and that's a 5-inch charge range. That is something that he may be willing to take on.
And there's a chance if he gets the charge right, he'll end up within 6 of the Weirwood. So even if he fails the charge, he will do a +1 save on the panic, which is really probably not something to worry too much about.
Something they're looking at now is how far away Daenerys is from Drogon. But of course, it doesn't particularly matter right now. She can tutor those cards back, but she has already entirely discarded Dracarys and Dragon's Flight. We know that they're not a risk anymore. Daenerys and her bubble aren't a huge deal right now.
I mean, I just remembered that there's no Fire Made Flesh, right? I just completely forgot yet again that there's no Fire Made Flesh.
No Fire Made Flesh means
This,
that Ghost combining with Swarm Brothers isn't actually that necessary right now.
yeah,
And he could
you could
really
burn the
consider
activation.
wasting the Ghost activation to just, buy himself more time and waste Viserion's maneuver.
That charge is a 1 in
It
6
looks
by the looks of it.
It looks like it's going to be 11 inches, not 10. He can't make the 10 with any kind of pivot. A 1 in 6 chance feels, unlikely. As you mentioned, he'll definitely get within the range of the Weirwood. He doesn't lose a whole lot except control over what position he ends up in.
Yes, yeah, I agree. But he can control it to some extent, as we know. If you argue that look, I'm going to end up either here, or here, how good or bad is that situation? And if none of those situations where you're only talking about an inch further forward, and none of those are particularly bad, then I think it's worth the risk. There's a 1 in 6 chance that he can just get a shot at Drogon, and really just potentially just take the game away from the Mother Dragon player straight away. Just one fell swoop, boom, done. I gain 3 victory points. 4 if you include John giving out the VP token.
Of course, that's something that we haven't spoken about, which is that nobody's been within 12 inches yet. Bob saying that for the watch makes it a 3-inch charge. Of
It
course,
does.
if we see some card play, things could get a lot better.
Definitely. So, I mean, what does Zerotorque do with Rhaegal now? He's got to do something with him. Is he in range to dive onto the dog? Is the question, right? Because do you just threaten the dog, knowing that it means that John has then got a split priorities, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think similarly to the way that Rossi has approached Tycho and Fire Made Flesh, yes, you have to assume that your opponent has the card, but you can't live your entire game in fear of them having the card. Otherwise, you'll never kill a unit, right? If you assume, well, he has it shall not end until my death, therefore I can't kill the unit. Well, that's an like acceptance that you'll never kill any unit. We see him go directly into John himself, right into the front. Power play here.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean I don't dislike this. It's not great because of Jon Snow's ability to activate and just do so much with his own cards. Um, but yes,
Absolutely, but the thing we have to remember is that this Swarm Brothers unit is the most dangerous unit that he has. But Swarm Brothers, actually, their attack profile rolls off relatively quickly.
it does.
If he can damage this unit to the point where it's not as dangerous anymore, then that is one of his biggest threats gone.
And
And we see him take off 8 wounds in that straight attack. Boosh, big play.
that
One of the major threats to himself gone.
the failed panic as well. Wow. The actual big thing there is the failed panic test, right? That's actually the only thing that really matters because the failed panic means that we don't get any of John's abilities come out. And we see a card play.
Yep, we see for the watch. I assume that he's playing this on Jon Snow's unit. That's probably going to be a heal 2 wounds, remove a condition token, and gain +1 to hit this turn. That combines probably with the Watch Marshal's +1 to hit, meaning that
It's +1 dice from the Watch
well,
Marshal.
they're hitting on 1+, technically.
It's +1 dice, not +1 to hit.
Oh, brilliant. So it's a +2, it's a 2+ to hit, and they'll be rolling 9 dice between oh, sorry, I'm considering the wrong Jon Snow commander. They'll be rolling 7 dice on their second attack profile, hitting on 2s. First of all, we see Ghost going in, using the bond. This will, of course, protect from, say, hit and run and tactics cards like that. Considering he has nothing else to activate, using the bond is, of course, nothing to lose here.
Coming across the front of the unit, going for the 50%, which is good. Prevents Drogon from charging in at the top of next turn.
Yes. Being here right now on 6 wounds is the kind of position which a dragon can threaten to kill you. Of course, that relies on a panic fail, which is tough to achieve against the Swarm Brothers. That he got in there and hit them before they got within range of the Weirwood Tree is actually quite significant.
6 hits.
We're seeing, I believe we see 5 hits.
The
He's only
+1
rolled 6 dice. I think that he's forgotten about
blow.
his Watch Marshal ability.
Crit blow. He's forgotten about the Watch Marshal ability, but he gets the crit blow, meaning that it is still 6 hits. He should have rolled an extra dice. Because I don't think Walder was Varys, wasn't he, that turn? This is not looking brilliant for Zerotorque. He's risked 2 VPs in the shape of 2 dragons to do the damage he's done. We see, I'm going to say half, but basically 2 units down to half health. See Shield the Guards come out for that double shields. Double shields come out for Rossi and Watcher on the wall. Wow. So double shields. And Watcher on the wall is
Interesting
played
that
as
he
well.
held that Watcher on the wall and now he discards it, showing that he understands that he's in position now. Nothing really Watcher won't get him much more significant field position. Combats are engaged. What he needs are more cards. He needs Sword in the Darkness. He needs big plays like that. The question is what is Zero going to open with? Because of Varys, we have to assume that it's not onto the tactics board. I think that we're going to see one of the two dragons activate and try and kill their opposing unit. That is also an important time to try and kill something because there is no comeback in terms of, and now his watch is ended. There's no NCU to reactivate. There's no unit to take an activation token off of. But neither is a guaranteed kill. You're going to require a panic fail, and that is a risky play because the dragons are definitely at danger of dying themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, the the big one here for me, the I think absolutely massive one here for me, is that he doesn't have his own NCU Varus token. That's what I meant. He hasn't got any more Varus tokens left, right? He gives away board presence to Rossi, and that's a feels bad man. To be honest, that's a feels bad man. It's just
Yeah.
a straight feels bad man.
You have to think that these two wounded dragons are probably going to die this turn. Between the swords and the number of attacks that are coming in on them, unless one of them manages to kill all of their own threats, then effectively there's going to be enough attacks coming back at them that they both die. Can they take units out at the same rate? That would be 1 point for 1 point. Nobody's yet committed something worth more than 1 VP to this fight. But it's a tough time right now. It looks like he's looking with Drogon. What I think it's possible that we see him go into Ghost and look to overrun. That is not impossible. Either that or he's looking to get into the flank of the crossbowman. Because of sensible positioning between Ghost and the Swarm Brothers, of course, another unit can't go into the front of the Swarm Brothers.
Is he going to charge the crossbowman? Is that what he's trying to do, or is he just going to charge Ghost?
If he is, then I'm not sure why he moved left.
Oh no. I think you can see Jon Snow. Is he burning Jon Snow? And he gets the 6 wounds. That's actually what he needs because when Jon Snow's card comes out now, the
He still has to take the panic.
he still it shall not end. He takes the morale check, and then if he stays alive, he has to take the panic check. And if he fails the panic check, he still dies because of the way that the attack works. The
Of
unit
course, I
is
hadn't
dead.
even thought that he can shoot into that combat. He has touch and go line of sight at a slight angle, and that's the real power of dragons right now. Is they don't have to be able to fit; they can just shoot. They don't have to fear their own panic tests. And the big thing about Drogon here is that onto those panic-based John combos is that Drogon can force out the panic token.
Yeah. So he becomes panicked because of Drogon. And are we gonna see him play any cards or anything? It is 6 wounds.
Considering that Rossi just dug for cards, it's nowhere near a guarantee that he actually has. It shall not end.
Yeah, I mean he's only seen half of his deck.
And
Seems
this is
like
the big risk of holding on to too many cards. Of course, we saw multiple once he decided to discard, he discarded multiple shields that guards the realms of men, which are of course just entirely dead cards in this matchup.
yeah, basically.
Dragons go to auto wounds, so blocking hits does nothing for you. So all the time that we looked at his hand and said, look at what a big hand Rossi has. He has 7 cards. 2 of those were entirely dead and he had no use for. So dropping them earlier could well have let him see more cards.
Yep.
We do see It Shall Not End Until My Death. So these are going to be some big panic tests. We see him pass. I assume that, I mean, it is a morale test. I assume he would want to make him re-roll the 4.
There's the panic,
We
I'm
see him
guessing.
re-roll
There's the
all the
so
dice.
he did the panic check. Sorry, he did the morale check for the attack. No, he did the morale check for it shall not end, I'm guessing. Yeah, it shall not end my day. And then he's just done the morale check for the unit.
For the panic test.
Yes.
I'm really, really surprised that he hasn't used the panic token on the initial "It shall not end until my death" save. At that point, he had a 4 and a 2 against a morale 6. He had a 50-50 chance to get rid of that unit before John managed to activate the save.
Yeah.
I really don't think it was going to get any better for him on the subsequent panic test. The only thing you would have been willing to see was a 1 to like make that more likely.
It seems like the panic test has just been burnt now.
Yep,
Oh.
and we do see the fail only just. He gets the 2 after keeping the 3 and re-rolling. Everything seems to have hooked on top of each other. But that panic fail there on the test is a kill, and that's a big, big play. That is Jon Snow. Also interesting, we saw Jon Snow activate, but we didn't see a victory point get put down. Another major oversight there, and may well come in to have a lot of effect. But we've seen him make one of those big aggressive moves and get a kill.
Yep. Yeah, he could have healed some with the Jon Snow order. The problem.
I believe he did, didn't he? He had 3 wounds,
I think he
so
must
he
have
put
healed
2
one.
models on.
He survived on one wound, then
They
healed
are
another
having some
one.
trouble with the tray. I think he had 3 wounds at the time, possibly Jon Snow plus 2 other models, and I think and once he saw the 3 wounds from the panic test, it was enough.
Did he forget to put a VP token onto Viserion when Jon Snow activated last turn?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. I think he forgot to do that.
That might actually come back to bite him. But I mean, we see swords come out. We see swords come out, and we see 5 because
we
they
see a
don't hit on
heal
trees, right?
from Amon, and I think we're seeing the crossbowman shoot.
Is it crossbowman
Either
shoot?
that or oh no,
It's
we see the sword in the darkness
yeah,
go onto the ranger trackers. That's going to give them 8 attacks. He's hitting with 5 of them.
and
He
it's
has the vulnerable because of the swords
yeah,
and swords in the darkness. This
and
is a big
it's
roll
three wounds,
into the
which is not
front. He's
enough.
doing 3 wounds and he leaves him on 1 wound. That is close, but a big, big roll, and oh, that's tough.
I mean, that's not statistically. I mean, that it's hard, but to be honest, with 8 dice sitting on 4s, you're only expecting to hit with 4 dice anyway. So the fact that he even hit with 5 is great.
Yeah.
And then of those 50 of those, so he expected to do 2 wounds realistically. So maybe it's 3 wounds
With
when you
the
count the reroll.
vulnerable, he could have he can ask for 3
And he got 3,
to get the 4 that he needed for the kill was a risk that clearly he was willing to take.
definitely.
Um
But he got the 3,
and we see the swift retreat come in.
and yeah, swift retreat.
I think what he really wants to be scared of is Viserion killing Ghost and activating an overrun.
Yes. The thing is with the Rhaegal retreating out here, is not that useful for him. He needs to get Rhaegal out of there, right? Because these
I
Ranger
think
trackers haven't
he's
activated.
looking.
Because they
It
can just
looks like
chase him
he's
down.
looking at. Absolutely, I've just read. Yeah, the ranger trackers are very dangerous. They can follow and finish somebody off. I think he's looking to get one big attack out of Rhaegal before he dies. It looks like he's trying to find out whether or not he can retreat far enough such that he can then maneuver and charge into the flank of the crossbowmen. He wants to tie them up so that they're not a danger source. I think he's just accepting that the ranger trackers are going to kill something, and just going to take he's just going to take that in that loss, but try and kill things faster than he loses units.
Yeah.
The real difficult question is, at what point does he stop taking actions on the board and start tutoring Firemade Flesh back into his hand? That card is so important to the matchup, to every bit of damage that he takes. And it really depends on how many wounds the dragons are on at any given time and how much of a risk he's willing to take in terms of kind of like, does he think that he's going to play the averages, or is he going to play his luck? And will Firemade Flesh actually make the difference in saving him? With only one card in hand for Rossi right now, though, he has to be thinking this is one of his best chances to get kills and do big damage. John's gone. You know, It Shall Not End has already been played this turn. You've got to be thinking now's the time to get kills and possibly get enough kills that he can retreat and make Rossi have to come out of his corner.
Yep. Definitely. And I want to go all the way back to an earlier point in the game, back in the younger days of Mickey and Carlo, which was nearly 2 hours ago now, where Tom Tyler said this turtling strategy does make it harder for people to come out of the corner and get that victory should they go down. Is Tom Tyler a prophet of this particular matchup? Did he predict this outcome?
Quite possibly. And this game is still so much in the balance. It's very, very important that Drogon got that kill being a marked unit onto John. That was a huge play, and there was a decent amount of luck involved there. What I actually think is happening is Rhaegal is retreating and then activating and then charging into the flank of the Ranger trackers.
That sounds
What he's
about
trying
right.
to do here, only 7 wounds on the unit. The D3 is quite, not the important part here. What's important, again, as always, is a panic fail. By getting into the flank and having the panic token, he has a decent chance here of getting this kill.
He rolled the
Again,
3.
I think he's forgetting to put out that weakened token.
No, he put the weakened token onto the crossbowman.
There we go.
And it comes down to the panic. He does roll the 3, meaning that so it's -3, -4 check for the corpse pile. Yeah, that is a dead Ranger tracker unit. That's another VP coming out for Zerotorque, and Rhaegal is 7.4 inches away from those builder crossbowmen, and he is just ahead, just in front of those. I think he's within line of sight. I think he can see the conscripts. Zerotorque's gonna play overrun.
That's
He does play overrun.
And we see the overrun. Wow.
Boom.
This is really, really big plays from Zerotorque. He's taken a big risk here, and currently it is all going his way. Some panic tests, some panic tokens, and of course, the thing that I totally forgot, the Vicious on the ranged and melee profile of the dragon attack, all just pushing things into good odds as opposed to, just a real hope that it might work. And what looked like a really touch and go situation is currently looking very, very strong.
So, I mean, to all the viewers that stuck with us, for the first hour and a half of this game, we had basically nothing happen, jostling for position. And since the end of round 3, and basically all of round 4, has been pretty freaking hype, right? We are seeing dragons take apart the Night's Watch slowly, and we see another 3 coming out of Zerotorque. He's only rolled
He has
3.
rolled pretty well on that D3. The margins are small. It of course helps, but it's the panic test that matters. That's what turns 6 wounds into suddenly 8 wounds, or 4 wounds into 8 wounds, and he's stripping them reliably. The difference between taking off 6 wounds and and taking off 8 wounds is actually quite large, because it means that if Amon or Craster heal in return, you're still within range of being able to die within the next attack.
Yeah.
And really, it's back against the wall time for Rossi. Anybody in the chat still think that he has a chance here?
Let us know in chat if you think you got a chance. I mean, there is a plus side, right? Aside from Ghost dying, and unless Zerotorque has the other overrun, Ghost dying is the only other thing that happens this turn for Rossi, right? That's the only other the only other bad thing that happens this turn. So,
Absolutely.
you know, are we going to see it? Actually, Carlo, are we going to see this? I actually 100% think we can. The Watch Marshal do a flank charge into Rhaegal, killing a dragon. A Watch Marshal killing a dragon.
Absolutely.
We're going to see it. I want to see this.
It's possible also that at the same time, after his own maneuver, even if he doesn't get the kill, he can, of course, bring the conscripts in a maneuver to be able to see the rear of Rhaegal.
You can't do that.
That in turn means that upon killing it, the crossbowman will be able to turn. They really, knowing all of that, what I would be looking to do is use the money bags to heal and remove the weaken token from the crossbowman, as they now become a very important part of
System.
your ability to get back in this game, which is you need to kill Rhaegal and Viserion this turn, and getting them back up to shooting on 7 dice is very important to that.
So I think it's important to remember that the Watch Marshal can't use Follow Me this turn because he's not within short range before he does his action, right? He actually does the Follow Me order before he moves, and he's currently not within short range of the conscripts to move them.
I see.
So he can't use it on the conscripts. I can't use it onto the crossbowmen either because their free maneuver would happen before the dragon dies. So it happens in the middle of the turn.
So he really would be down to himself to get that kill. 2 attacks. Does he hit on 3s?
Yeah, he hits on 3s. Two attacks
He
hitting
hits
on 3s.
on 3s.
With rerolls.
If we assume rerolls, we're probably talking about 2 hits. We're talking about 1.5 hits, really, against a 5-up save in the flank.
I like those odds.
We have to be thinking that he's got okay odds to get that kill. Nowhere near a guarantee, but he should be able to push through that wound. That is assuming that Zerotorque hasn't managed to tutor Fire Made Flesh back into his hand by that point.
Well, he's going now. He's going now, and I think that's Rossi's play, but he's going for the letters. See, this is the risk, because there's so many things. He can horses Rhaegal just out of there. You know?
Absolutely. The horses would allow the crossbowman to pivot. Actually, what I'm scared of is a Moneybags heal right here. Moneybags heal right here onto Rhaegal
Rossi's playing on the order. Rossi is preying on Varys right now. He is saying, Varys, please don't fail me.
And considering he's in a hole, that's not the worst thing he can do.
It's not the worst. Definitely not the worst. Is it the best though? Is it the best thing though, Carlo?
To Bob, it actually says that when the unit performs a maneuver or march action before moving, so before you take the maneuver action, unless he maneuvers twice, if he maneuvers then charges, his first maneuver won't be able to trigger it, and his second action as a charge won't be able to trigger it either.
Yeah. Don't question me on this, Bob. I've played enough Harmer to know how that works. It's actually pretty annoying. But what does it matter? I usually turn it into a trample anyway. This is where we could have been on the NRG Twitch stream and everyone could have been using the new pivot emote in chat. And people could have been saying pivot, 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 pivot. But hey, dragons aren't here. No, sorry, mammoths aren't here. Dragons definitely are here. That's what they definitely got here today. It looks like so Rossi went for the draw 2 and he didn't put a token on the board by the looks of it. He looks like he hasn't put a token on the board. Don't know if that's by choice or by just accident. Because I definitely put a vulnerable token onto Rhaegal, 100%.
Yeah, the vulnerable onto Rhaegal would really increase his odds of his Watch Marshal, even against a Firemade Flesh. That really pushes things into the money bags being massively the best save for him. The
Which is
money bags is probably means that the Watch Marshal just brings the conscripts into being able to make the rear charge, but the conscripts are weakened too, so that's not even a guarantee. We see Walder Frey come out, and I have to think that we're going to see. Yep, we see a Varys.
and you rolled the 2.
And it's a fail.
He took the 1 in 3. Or the 2 in 3, technically, of victory, I guess.
That's a big roll.
It is. It really is.
Is he just going to leave Rhaegal to his fate, or and really kind of double in on Viserion? Considering that he's 3-0 up, he could be willing to sacrifice one of these dragons, even if the Watch Marshal gets the kill. I've actually just realized that the Watch Marshal has Sundering. Sundering plus flank means that he's even better odds. That
Does
looks
he?
like what he's going for, though. It looks like he's saying Rhaegar can
Oh, yeah.
die. I'm even willing to lose 2 points because of the Watch Marshal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bank on keeping Viserion alive. And now you have to come to me. The Walder Frey comes out, of course, popping 1 wound onto the Watch Marshal. Now that we're into the range where every zone matters a huge amount, Walder's starting to be more aggressive in being able to attach to the units. It's not him being blocked.
So the big thing here, though, and this is absolutely massive, the Watch Marshal no longer has the Follow Me ability. So even if, because there is an opportunity, of course, that if the Watch Marshal kills Rhaegal on the charge, the Surge Force is a maneuver. Yeah? So he could have, on the Surge Force, given his Follow Me order to the conscripts. Now he can't. He doesn't have the Follow Me order. He's going to activate the Crossbowman and play for the Watch. So they're going to remove the condition token, restore 2 wounds. Right?
Yeah. This is whether he drew this out of his 2 cards from letters, or whether or not he always had that and intended to do that, I'm not sure. I think that he's made a big blunder in passing up the moment when Watch Marshal could have flanked Rhaegal. And taking that letters, I don't think was the highest value play at that time. He's given up the impetus to like put aggression onto the table.
Can I just,
not to wash the entire nation with the same brush, but I do find that as good players as they are, the one thing I would say about the German players is in general is that they play very technically well. Positional play is great, but they are overly timid of making aggressive plays.
can I just point out something I found out today? There we go. 4 hits there with the longsword, right? Is it 4 or is it 3? They hit on 4s. The 3 hits. And he saves them all. Where was that vulnerable token, bro? Where was the vulnerable token that you could have put on them with Varys? Oh, man. Oh, man.
Absolutely. Where did that letters token go? If he watches back, he's got to be kicking himself about that.
Definitely. Anyway, I was today years old when I found out that there is a symbol missing from the Builder Crossbowman card.
Is it the attack symbol, or
It is. The attack symbol for Crossbowman just isn't there. The crossbow doesn't have the range symbol next to it. And that's not even a TTS bug. I've just checked the stats builder, which you should obviously all be using for building your legal lists, of course. Carlo is doing 2021 updates for that. So the moment that 2021 hits and we have all the information, Carlo can then pretty much go live with it. I'm making a promise on Carlo's behalf because I know that Carlo won't make that promise because he's lazy. Anyway, yeah,
Hey, if anybody's got the assets, feel free to send them to me. I don't
yeah,
have access to them, unlike some other people in the community who
given them
abuse
to
said
them.
position.
Yeah, they get them given to them for free, uh, at early access. That's all right. I'm sure you can get asked to have access to a OneDrive with them all on, and then you can get all the information. You can tell us what mammoths and giants do. I'll get into that tomorrow. Anyway, uh, what are we looking at? What are we looking at here? We're looking at the Watch Marshal has to go in and kill Rhaegal. So I still think that this is the best play for him. The difference is now is that he's doing that play.
Absolutely. Watch Marshall with Sundering into that flank was probably better odds than the builder crossbowman, considering he had that heal and it didn't require him to be in combat, nothing to do with being engaged. I really think that getting that kill with the Watch Marshal, it would have been 2 victory points. It still will be 2 victory points. He's a marked unit. And more importantly, it would allow the crossbowman to pivot and make that shot into the flank of Viserion.
Yeah,
He's passed up a big attack there, and I think Rossi's made. He's Zerotorque's taken some big risks at last this turn. They really were some big risks. Those panic tests and those D3s, they really came off for him. But I think Rossi's made a big, big blunder, which has allowed Zerotorque to really capitalize on this position.
and
And
this is
he's
it.
going to get away. And it's going to be difficult now
The last
for Rossi to pick up these kills.
the last Varus token being used and failing. He rolls a 1 on the second Varus token. That's 2 out of 4 Varus token fails, right? And this is obviously the risk with Varus, of course. Relying on the zone says that's why I can't rely on Varus in competitive events. Yeah, I disagree. I think that Varus is still really good. You don't. I agree though. You shouldn't rely on him, right? You should still be making objectively good and bad plays. You don't rely on Varus in competitive. What you do is you bring him to frustrate the opponent. A lot of people, like you said there, the zoned, will actually make a play, which then they rely on Varus to prevent the enemy from doing anything against them. Good players, top level players, take Varus because they can make a good play, and then they don't need to rely on Varus to counter you. It's if you want to try and outplay me, I can potentially throw a spanner in the works. And even if I don't manage to get that spanner in the works, it's still a really bad position for you. I think that's probably my experience of top level Varus play. I don't know about you, Carlo.
I would say it's less about I need this to work for otherwise I'm in a bad position. The use I always apply to him is I make a play which I think you need to counter on the board, but I have Varus. Therefore, if you try to counter it on the tactics board, 2 out of 3 of the times I will stop you and then I'll be in a great position. Say you need to make a maneuver to counter what I just did. Are you willing to risk taking the horses and have nothing happen? Or am I going to force you to take an on field activation when you don't really want to? And a lot of the times you can make your opponent force themselves to take actions that they don't want to because they're not willing to make a play where they're 4 times out of 6, they're going to be on the wrong end of that interaction. And really, it's about them being scared to take the tactics board at important times rather than it being, well, I have nothing to lose, so I'll take the board. And you're like, I desperately need to block this with Varus. Of course, he can come in clutch at those moments, but that's not what he's about.
Indeed. Indeed. So.
Many, many actions later, we see this same Watch Marshal attack that we were really hoping to see. It's a successful charge.
2 dice.
Does he still have Sundering?
Yeah, he does. Because Walder doesn't turn off Sundering.
Yeah.
Do I even 3 dice?
I'm not
Because he
sure.
doesn't get his own +1. And he gets the 1 wound. Do they realise that the Watch Marshal doesn't get his own +1 dice? And there's the
Yeah.
Fire Made Flesh that
It
was claimed
distinctly
back.
says other friendly units, so he doesn't give himself +1 attack. Plus, he's Walled Afraid, so he doesn't have that ability anyway.
Yep.
They might be making a big blunder here. They're talking about Sundering
The Sundering and
being
Flank
able
makes it
to.
a. Fire Made Flesh literally doesn't save the dragon. It would just waste the card. And we see Take the Black. Oh, Take the Black. D3 +1 wounds to, I'm guessing, the crossbowman. I don't know why he rolled the attack dice there. That was a celebration attack dice. D3 +1, rolled a 1. So 2 wounds back to the crossbowman.
Yeah. And still, I can't say enough. If he just done that attack at the start, he would be pivoting the crossbowman right now into a position where he can shoot Viserion in the flank.
Yep.
It's
And
it's
the funny thing
tiny
is,
little plays like that that can make the difference.
the funniest thing about that, the funniest thing is that Viserion would still have to activate Kill Ghost and do something about it, and Drogon can't get out of the range of the snipers either. So even if Viserion could get out, those crossbowmen would still be shooting at a target this turn and creating wounds. He also forgot to do the free surge forth with the Watch Marshal, by the looks of it. And the dragon attacks. We see now his watch has ended. Oh my god. He's going to take off Aemon. Take off Aemon on the swords. Aemon onto swords. Boom. Headshot with the crossbowman. But the thing is, he could have been doing these kind of plays already, right? He could have been doing these plays anyway.
He could have had all of this plus 1 extra activation.
Yep.
Viserion, of course, can get away. He has scored 1 VP for that, so that's 4-2. The question is, does he dive in with Viserion, knowing that he's the danger unit to the Watch Marshal and to the crossbowman, and that actually crossbowman shooting into Drogon is the worst thing that can happen right now, not them shooting into Viserion. This big card plays like that is, is massive. And maybe we have to take our words back. Maybe I have to take my own words back. Maybe Letters was huge. Those tactics cards have come up clutch, but it was a big risk to go and dive his deck for them.
Definitely. I don't think Letters was necessarily the worst play. He ran the risk of the money bags, but he relied on he relied on Varys, and Varys didn't come up. He both dragons couldn't be healed, but he still had opportunities in that play. I think the problem is that he then activated the crossbowman, and that activation of the crossbowman was the defining thing for me. Not doing it with the Watch Marshal was a mistake, I think.
Absolutely. It looks like he's retreating away, which I really don't like. Though, depending on where he goes, I would expect him to leave himself where he can still, he's going to be in range where he can dive back in and shoot the crossbowman. He doesn't have to commit to combat, but he can't charge the crossbowman in the front because he'll give up a free shot. Any damage like that is really going to be painful. If he pushed further over into the flank of the crossbowman, then he would be in a much better position to get a flank charge on them, get into combat. I'm talking about combat now because something like Overrun is very, very important for him to be able to double down and get into that Watch Marshal too. The big question is can we see the Watch Marshal threaten dragons again more if these crossbowmen can keep pinging enough wounds off them such that they're within range that the Watch Marshal might just go in and grab a kill. The question is we've gone back to a standoff position again.
It's
At
not a
least there are
standoff
VPs
though.
on the board. And it's really tough to say whether or not the timing's right to continue to push an attack or if people should be looking to be defensive.
So the problem is that these dragons can just fly away. We know, we know that Fire Made Flesh is in Zerotorque's hand, right? So Fire Made Flesh is going to come out on the shot here from Aemon onto the swords, healing up the crossbowmen to full ranks. Not like it really matters with the crossbowmen, and also into, and this is what's so important, into the next turn in which Rossi goes first and has another swords play with the crossbowmen. This dragon
Absolutely.
has
That's what I
one.
think the big play is here.
He has one Fire Made
Rossi
Flesh to survive 2 shots.
Rossi desperately wants to get crossbowman in onto Drogon. If he can grab Drogon before he can get away, then he's suddenly back in the lead. And now Viserion has to come back and fight again.
He has to
If
do all
he
the work.
fails to get that kill, then it's a totally different situation, which is that the dragons are going to look to get away as fast as possible. The positioning of Viserion here is very, very important. If Viserion gets to a distance where the crossbowman can't reach him, then it's a very easy activation for himself to get away. But if he's in a position where crossbowman can start to follow up onto Drogon, Drogon now has to activate to run away, but you leave Viserion still at the mercy of the crossbowman. Between their shot now from Aemon, healing and attacking, start of next turn, we see another swords play. There's no Varys to stop it. We see another shot, and we still don't have the crossbowman activated. I have to assume that each of those times he should be advancing 2 inches, even if he's already in range. That means that he's covering the range on both of them all the time.
Yeah, and you can see this here. He's kind of like measuring inverted commas where he's going to go, and actually no, what he's doing is he's taking Aemon onto the swords. He's taking the shot. It's 7 dice, of course, on the 3s.
I think that considering
Ooh!
Viserion decided to retreat, which I wasn't 100% on board with, I would have preferred to have him be aggressive. Because he decided to retreat, he should have gone as far as possible.
That's 3
Because
wounds with Fire Made Flesh. Straight up 3 wounds onto Drogon. There is no Fire Made Flesh for this next shot, and with the flank, and it's not just a flank, with the flank and the sundering from the crossbowmen, leaves them saving on 6s. If Rossi can get maybe what's he going to need? He's going to need 5 hits. He needs 5 hits from his crossbowman, and he needs 5 wounds onto the dragon. He's just got 7. It's not unreasonable he can get that again. It's not likely. I mean, we joke, right, Carlo? Because when your Lannister crossbowman always shoot my free folk, you always rolled 5 hits,
shots,
right?
5 hits.
You always rolled 5 hits.
7 shots, 5 hits. Flank and sundering means that it's going to be a 6 to save. Actually, the odds are pretty touch and go whether or not he can make it.
But he's gonna have to go for it. And the thing is here is that if he shoots Drogon, there's actually, I mean, there's a lot to say here. If he shoots Drogon, he can kill him. He can. I mean, I don't think he will. If he shoots Rhaegal, who does Zerotorque save?
I think Rhaegal's a bad bet because it's not into the flank. So
Sure.
that becomes 5 up saves, and that's actually quite a big difference. I think the Watch Marshal, again, as always, might come to be key here. His with me might become really important if this Drogon attack doesn't go as well as possible. If Drogon survives here,
5 hits.
We see 5 hits.
Absolutely
Any touch
6s.
and go.
1 6 is enough to save Zerotorque's game. He gets it. Oh. That is a Drogon with some clipped wings, but he still has them. He still has these little bony, completely leatherless spines sticking out of his arms, sticking out of his body, but he is still alive.
So the options here are he can just activate Drogon and run away. That's a possible. Drogon has to get away. He's very, very important for the VPs. It is quite a long time for him to survive the rest of the game, though. But the speed of them, they should be able to get far enough away. That, of course, is the problem that the crossbowman can follow up and attack Viserion. Very, very unlikely, though, that they'll do 6 wounds. in the front, that's almost impossible. There is the option to use the horses. That, of course, means that horses can't be used by Rossi in response. It means that the Watch Marshal plus horses plus some other moves like are much less likely to get these crossbowmen into a position that you didn't expect. I think that money bags is actually a big trap. You can't save these units by these dragons by healing them. You need to save them by getting them out of range. I do think that they're fast enough to get out of range, but the fact that there is no Varys here means that horses is a safe bet to save Drogon. And that's the kind of difference that Varys makes. Right here, that there is no Varys means that you can safely take a zone and know exactly that it will have the effect you need it to have. Lets you take more value and keep your units activated. In this case, I think it would be fine to activate Drogon and just run away as fast as possible, though.
Oh my god, I've just realised something. Oh my god. Oh.
What?
That
What? What?
VP.
What? What are we all missing?
That VP that didn't go onto Viserion. Yeah?
Yep.
That VP is going to come in clutch
Made the difference
because the point.
between Viserion being worthwhile to bring up a victory/draw or not.
Yes. So,
Meant that you had to chase Drogon.
what I was thinking is you use the Watch Marshal as bait for Zerotorque to come in and claim 2 victory points, 3 victory points for killing the Watch Marshal, right? It's just, he comes in, he kills it, okay? But in the process of killing it, it puts him into a position where the crossbowman might get a shot. This would mean, because as it currently stands, him killing both dragons, which is what we're talking about here, he would have to kill both dragons for that to happen, but both dragons dying currently only nets him 4 victory points from the crossbowman, not 5. He would be 5 points behind, sacrificing the Watch Marshal. That means that one victory point that wasn't dropped by Rob, or by John, sorry, will mean that Rossi will be down 1 victory point going into that final round, or going into that particular situation. So he can't even use the Watch Marshal as bait, because if he does it, he has to kill Dany.
Absolutely. I think I really don't know. I really don't know what Zerotorque is thinking about here. Why this is taking so long? There is nothing but saving Drogon. That is the only play.
Just
That leaves
activate him and freaking
open.
Scarpa.
That leaves him at risk to Viserion being attacked for 6 wounds by the crossbowman. Yes, but
Actually,
that is so unlikely.
Actually,
that
easy play. Walder onto the. You don't have Walder turn off abilities. Less aggressive then. But if you put Walder,
you're thinking Walder onto the horses to turn off Sundering. Is that
yeah,
what you're thinking?
but you don't get to turn it off because no crowns. But even Walder onto the horses to actually just do the wound to the Watch Marshal. Right?
Yeah.
You do the wound to the Watch Marshal.
It puts pressure back onto Rossi to heal him again. It also it going onto horses. The only reason I like horses is because it allows him to get out of range of the crossbowman in a way. Once the dragons get away, if we assume that both dragons can get away on very low wounds, Rossi has no remote way to kill a dragon. They're immune to panic. Random crown zap doesn't work, and he doesn't have Walder or anything like that to pick off 1 extra wound. Therefore, if the dragons get into the corner, the only unit left he has to go for is Dany. Now, using horses and using as many attacks as possible and cards is going to put him under the tiniest bit of risk. Oh my god.
Is he charging?
We see a charge go back in. This is mental.
I mean,
for a start, I'm pretty sure that they could ready aim fire.
They can. They 100% can. and he gets to do the shot first, so he can shift 2 inches back.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm guessing that they rolled the dice
Yeah,
for
he
the
rolled a
charge.
6 on the charge,
Oh, right, so he's
so
definitely in. Did he just forget that ready aim fire exists?
quite possibly. I don't know what he's just calculated, but it's not what I calculated, which is he can get away to safety, and there's nothing that can kill Drogon. And and losing Viserion doesn't even matter to a crossbow shot. It's only one VP.
Yeah.
So even if he managed to go unbelievably lucky and get 6 wounds, then that wasn't going to help. Instead, I mean, maybe he believes, Viserion is, of course, expendable for the same reason, so he should engage the crossbowman. But he's left himself in a position where
He's just taken 4 wounds on Viserion.
he's well, there's 4. I mean, he is in combat now, and he can do a ton of damage to these crossbowmen. I guess it's a distraction, and the crossbowmen can't shoot Drogon as long as they're in combat. The question is now, is there anything? Is there any Night's Watch card that can get him out of combat? Um,
Watcher on the wall, because of the when they activate, they can do a free retreat with horses.
he would have to have horses too.
But hang on, he doesn't.
So
He doesn't
he,
need. He can just retreat on horses. He can just hit the
he
retreat button on
can,
horses.
but the response from Drogon is that he will run away, right?
But then you. But then. But then you kill him with the Watch Marshal, and I don't know, Sword in the Darkness,
So
right?
the actual issue is if you give up Viserion to the Watch Marshal, you're back on 4 each.
Yeah.
Your saving grace is that you probably have more points on the field. 6 points in Blackguard, 7 in Drogon. That's 13 points for Mother of Dragons. That plays into 7 points in Crossbowmen, 8, 9, 10, 11 for Crossbowmen, 14 with the Watch Marshal. Actually, if you give up Viserion to the Watch Marshal killing you, then you're currently losing. This was a crazy play. I don't know what he calculated or why he didn't think that getting Drogon away and to safety was the most important thing in this action. Then he can follow it up with getting Viserion to safety the action afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
As we've just seen from there, a crossbow shot into the Viserion is going to do about 3 or 4 wounds. It's not going to kill him in one. Plus, crossbowman killing him isn't the end of the world. It's only 1 VP given up.
Yep.
Unless, of course, they have both discussed the fact that Viserion is worth 1 VP and they just haven't put it on the table.
Yep. Potentially.
I have no idea what will happen now.
I'm lost. I'm lost for words. I have literally no idea what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, I think it looks like Rossi's shaping up towards Amon on bags, which I think is a good bet. You take off the vulnerable, you put 6 wounds back onto that unit, way back into healthy range to be able to do a good melee attack, good enough that he can leave Viserion within range of the Watch Marshal getting a kill. And that's crazy times. And yeah, Sunday, he YOLO'd right into the front of into those crossbowmen, taking a ready aim fire at the same time.
Interestingly, he only put 3 wounds on, not the 4. They forgot sundering. So the dragon is on 3 health left. Drogon is currently on 1 health. Wouldn't just he doesn't. Lockerbie, Walder is not on the Night's Watch sides. Night's Watch don't have access to Walder. It is Zerotorque's Walder in the game. There is no Walder for Rossi. So Drogon won't die from Walder.
The fat guy sitting in a chair is of course Craster, not Walder. Too many old guys in a chair.
Yeah.
Having massive roles to play in this game.
Yeah, because so Chris, he didn't take enough wounds. He should actually be on one more wound. But as always, we don't interfere unless specifically asked. Player management, game board management, player state management, all of that is down to the individual players. We can only do our bit to help them when they
This is
ask.
now it looks like Zerotorque's looking at whether or not he wants to charge Drogon into the crossbowman. That I feel absolutely leads to the conscripts getting the kill on Drogon, which is tons of VPs. That's 4 VPs, and I don't see how you come back from that. Drogon can't kill. I
We
mean,
can.
he could kill the crossbowman, like maybe, but he will die in return. Surely the conscripts will pick up a kill in return.
Okay, Lockerbie. It's been a long day for all of us.
I, I'm, I'm Carlo Wildface right now. This is
Carlo Wowface. Should we get some Carlo Wowface on stream? I think we should get some Carlo Wowface on stream. Um, we don't have enough Carlo Wowface in our lives, do we?
I can't believe the level of throw that is going on in this game right now. Unless I've completely miscalculated, I don't understand what tactical choices they're going through here.
Let's get some Carlo
At
Wowface.
least, at least it's still all to play for and exciting. Whew.
It's Carlo Wowface right now on stream. Let's stick Carlo Wow over here. Give him an old don't put him
It's what
upside
you're
down.
coming for.
It is what we all come for. What I come for anyway. Mainly to just put your face on stream. That actually looks less like a WoW, and the more I look at that, it definitely makes me think of something else entirely.
All right, we see Walder. He goes down onto the crossbowman. Will we see the test? will we see the test double down onto the same unit? Or I mean, surely the conscripts
Yeah.
are like too healthy to ever be considered, particularly considering they get the auto heal. I assume we're going to see a crowns test onto these crossbowmen again, meaning that they're well within Drogon's kill range.
Ilya, what the fuck is going on? I agree. I mean, we're seeing dragons running left, right, and center. We're seeing Lockerbie dropping emojis left, right, and center. Stevens dropping us a wow face, and unfortunately not a Carlo wow face because we haven't got it in the chat. But nonetheless, Stephen, you know, I appreciate the attempt. You're here, Ilya. I mean, that's really what the big question is. Why the hell are you here, man? You know, haven't you got some like
He's
bed
here
to go to?
supporting his first love of Night's Watch before he goes skedaddling over to the Greyjoys once they're finally available.
That's true, actually. Yeah. We see Craster come out onto the letters, and let me guess, heal 2, draw 1. Oh, he goes for the horses instead of the letters. I prefer taking the letters here. And I'm guessing the Walder didn't do a crown check. He pulled a card back to hand. Let me guess. Was it Fire Made Flesh?
Could possibly have been.
It probably was, Carlo.
I think these dragons will probably come through clutch in the end, particularly with Fire Made Flesh in hand. He can grab it again. He's probably going to be able to shore it up, but he's at massive risk of Drogon just taking a wound from something. I'd be interested to see just him Rossi taking a massive punt on getting something to do a wound to him, like a watch marshal, just YOLOing off in return to nab that last wound.
What did you do
The other
this
thing is,
game?
I wonder if he shouldn't use this horses to get the crossbowman out of combat. You know, like, shouldn't we see him retreating? That's interesting, actually. Now that he has horses, um, if he were able to play Watcher on the Wall onto them, he would be able to get a free retreat with the unit. But Watcher on the Wall, um, A, he discarded one earlier in the game, and B, it requires an attack onto a different unit for you to be able to get Watcher onto the Wall onto a unit.
Yes.
You can't just play Watcher onto the Wall down whenever you want. You still have to meet its original triggers.
Chris saying in chat, yeah, Drogon could of course come up behind Viserion and breathe onto the crossbowmen and thus blocking charge arcs as well. That's definitely a possibility. 100%, Chris. The actual interesting thing is the Watch Marshal is like he could block the charge onto Drogon with against the Watch Marshal as well. It's definitely an interesting situation. I really like the fact, Carlo. I really like the fact that we are talking about a man on a horse from the wall who is probably just like marginally more trained than Joe Bloggs from down the road. This
He's
man is going
just
to be
been there longer.
yeah, he's just been there longer, and he could well become the savior of the Night's Watch tonight. Already with one dragon
Absolutely.
kill to his name. Can he get a second?
Exactly. He's the only guy in the Night's Watch so far who's killed a dragon.
He has the highest kill count in the game with a kill count of 1. On the Night's Watch side anyway. We're not like CS:GO here, we only look at kills, we don't look at average damage per round. For those of you who've been watching the CS:GO Katowice this weekend. He is in range of Drogon.
So it looks like maybe we'll see an NCU activation and return. We saw Varys get picked up.
I just
He's looking
don't.
at his cards, but I believe he has both Fire Made Flesh in hand. You know, I think he's got what
He's
he
definitely got
wants.
one. He's definitely got one. I can't search the deck to see what else he has got.
Looks like we're going for a Drogon charge here.
Looks like a Drogon charge. Yep.
Oh my.
Oh
Okay, so we're
my
talking
god.
D3 plus 3. Bang, 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 bang. That's going to be. Okay, so on perfect rolls, that's a maximum panic fail plus a maximum D3 on the attack. He can kill these crossbowmen. You can do 10 wounds. But, I mean, the odds are really not with you. This, again, is a huge risk considering Watcher could well come back. Okay, we see the 3.
He has rolled
If
threes
they
all
die,
night.
oh my god, I don't know what's going on.
He has literally rolled threes all night.
Yeah.
The only attack he didn't roll a 3 on was Ghost, because he didn't roll a dice because of course it's an auto kill.
Has this panic been rolled yet? Is that a
No,
5 and a 2?
no,
No, not been rolled yet. The big
uh,
question is can on either of the rolls, we have to assume that they're going to fail this panic check here between the panic token and everything else. The great question is will he roll a 3 on the D3 with the panic token for the
he
reroll?
didn't.
Okay, he gets away with the first one. Not only has he passed.
He
No,
has
no, no.
passed 9.
Vicious.
No, yeah, 9 pass. There's 7 base, and Fireburn's called. No, so no panic token coming out. Hit and run. Hit and run. The enemy does not become engaged. Does not become weakened because of hit and run because he does not control horses. So he comes in. He does 2 ranks of damage, 6 wounds, and then hit and run coming out. The fire burns against the cold coming out there, saving that unit from potentially disappearing off the face of the earth. That was an important point. Important play.
Absolutely. That was a big fire that burns and a big roll. You know, like absolutely, he could easily have failed. You know, for a maximum, it would have been incredibly unlikely. But once he got that first D3, that unit was in big trouble. Fire burns against cold being clutch again here. What I think he needs to do is, I think he needs build a crossbowman to do some wounds, and then have the Watch Marshal follow up and threat and come in with a flank charge to try and get the finishing kill on Viserion. That will net him 2 or maybe even 3. As we keep saying, there's this outside chance that Viserion is worth an extra VP. He should be, as long as they remembered it. Question is does he have Sword in the Darkness? Does he have cards to help force through maybe just that bit more damage? Of course, we think that that Viserion himself should actually have taken 6 wounds right now, not 5.
Yeah, so he should be Should be on 2 runes remaining, not the 3. Um, board management, guys. We say it a lot. Me and Carlo just do say it a lot here. Um, always double check your maths when you're doing your board management. So your counters, making sure that they're on. Your health and your wounds, making sure that they go on and off correctly. It's little things like that. You don't think they make much of a difference in a game, but they really can add up if you don't check yourself.
Looks like we're going Watch Marshall into the flank. Of course, they believe that Watch Marshall is rolling 3 dice, it seems. So he thinks that he's within kill range here. Bit risky. I would probably go with the melee attack with the crossbowman first. But of course, if he gets this kill, then he brings the crossbowman back in to be able to shoot Drogon for that last wound. Did Drogon get accidentally clicked? Because Drogon seems to have 2 wounds left right now, and I really don't think that that's true.
No, that's definitely not true. Lockerbie was literally just saying a second ago that he had 7 wounds. Like that's a genuine. Just so you know, guys, this is a thing I see a lot of players do when they're clicking on tokens and things. You click through. The tokens are not solid objects, so if you click on them, you actually click through them as if it was invisible. So you're going to click whatever's behind it as well. If you are wanting to click tokens, move your camera down so you're clicking the tokens in the air above the board. Right? I know it sounds like ridiculous that I'm telling people to do this and how to play, but it does prevent these accidental misclicks. And if you're moving units, do the opposite. Come above and position above and below. When you're doing this kind of thing, if you do it this way, you'll just make the life a lot easier for yourself. You won't have accidental misplays. And we see Sword in the Darkness come out. There's no way he makes this play without it. He comes out and he makes this. This is a 4 dice attack with vulnerable. Let's see if he gives himself 4 dice. He should.
5.
Yeah. It looks like they're going for 5.
I think they believe it's 5. That is totally wrong, guys. Do not do this. Watch Marshall gives +1 attack to other friendly units within short range. You are not other friendly units to yourself.
Yep. I feel
Sword in the Darkness hopefully means that this won't, but that's a bad roll.
He does the reroll. He does have the reroll for the charge. He didn't roll a disorder.
He's on a target of a 2 at the moment. Again, he's not other friendly models to himself.
He doesn't get +1 to hit anyway. You just never get that in Night's Watch. It's not a thing unless you play the. It looks like they've just realised it should have only been 4 dice. There we go.
Okay, there we go. They're finally caught up.
And they're going. I assume they're just going to reroll it, which is probably a better thing for Rossi, to be honest. There was a chance that he threw that up completely, with three misses on the first attack.
I don't think it mattered for the last dragon. He had enough, even with the 2 dice, I believe, though it was possibly within Fire Made Flesh save kind of range. But I think he did 3 wounds.
Yeah, he did.
And it just would have been 2, and he still would have done it. We're at 3 hits at the moment. Reroll that 1.
4 hits.
I can't believe how clutch this sundering effect has been on the Night's Watch, on the Watch Marshal.
On the Marshal, right?
This is, of course, now 6.
No saves. No saves.
Oh, no
4
saves.
wounds. 4 wounds. Fire Made Flesh comes out. Yep, Fire Made Flesh. 2 wounds taken. And remember when we said he should have taken 4 wounds earlier? Remember that? Remember when he accidentally took 1 less wound? This wound here? Table management, boys and girls. Table management. There we go.
That is their activation. I kind of expect to see another. I expect to see another 5-man flesh get cycled. He's not. Zerotorque's not out the woods yet, though.
He's not.
The conscripts, I expect them to start to make their presence known. Actually, there's a big question about whether or not the conscripts are in the flank of Viserion. I don't know whether or not they have line of sight.
They can. They can definitely see. No, they can definitely see the back corner of Viserion. Like 100%, there is a clear straight line between the back corner and the front of the conscripts there that does not go through the crossbows. As for whether or not they'd be in the flank, ooh, that's going to be bloody close. I think they're not. I think they're in the front.
The crossbowmen here, I think, are about to take a melee attack. They, of course, get the +1 from the Watch Marshal. That's going to put them on a melee profile of 4 attacks hitting on 4s. It's definitely within range that they could get a kill here onto Viserion.
And we just see them retreat on the crossbowman. Because actually, this is a good point. Now that Viserion's locked in combat, he can't just run away. Not as simple as that.
Absolutely. If he can get far enough away, we could see these conscripts make a charge as long as he puts a board distance between them. But the problem is, can he follow it up
Oh,
without the crossbowman being within range of Drogon?
but it doesn't matter because remember, the conscripts killing the thing gives him 2 victory points. He gets 2 victory points for killing it with the crossbow with the conscripts. Oh, come on, please.
So based on this current positioning, it feels a lot like they believe that the conscripts are in the flank of Viserion.
I'm guessing so. I don't think he is. I genuinely don't think he is. I might be wrong.
I mean, Zerotorque is first player next round.
Yeah.
So if God, it's still this game is crazy. Will we see Viserion just finally munch that watch Marshall? And will we see, it shall not end until my death, completely countering that? That would be a huge risk to do that. He can take the swords, but what's going to win? Fire made flesh or it shall not end until my death? This is an absolute fight of, are you willing to take this risk or not here? And they're both treading a very fine line. With some really unfortunate mistakes in terms of bookkeeping for how many wounds they have.
It doesn't look like he is going for the... Just doing a 5-inch maneuver. Up to the side. He's definitely in the flank now. Oh, Carlo, man. Oh, man, Carlo.
I know. It would have been totally different. If that Watch Marshal had done that wound, we would have seen Viserion be dead, and the crossbowman would have come out of combat, allowing them to take a range shot onto Drogon, who is or should at least be on 1 wound, who should have then quite likely died. And that would have been all but GG.
I can't believe it.
The finest margins. When 2 really great players play each other, like, which is what the World Cup is all about. This is 2 really well matched lists, 2 really well matched players. We're going into a 6th round. I did not think it would come this far. Not in this way.
I'll be honest with you, Carlo. I'll be honest with you. In round 2, I got up. I went and had a shit. I'm not gonna lie. I went and had a shit. Hence the reason I was a bit quiet. And I genuinely think, I was gonna be like, oh, can we just turn the stream off? This is just. Bob was bored. He's saying those ZZs in chat. We were watching some maneuvering. It wasn't looking very much like anything was going anywhere. And the last 3 rounds have been superb.
Yeah.
And
Lockerbie asks, what movie would it be? I don't know what movie it would be, but it has to be a trilogy epic. Like this thing isn't one movie. It's been an absolute bloody roller coaster.
This is moving on to, like, we've probably just finished the Battle of Helm's Deep. We are now moving into the question of, do the Rohirrim actually manage to bail out the well, in which case, the Rohirrim represented by the Night's Watch Marshal. Does the Night's Watch Marshal bail out the faltering forces of these crossbowmen alongside some conscripts, which we can definitely approximate with the army of the dead? Are they going to be able to beat back the hordes of dragons and other said monsters, piloted by a beautiful woman who looks awfully like a flaming eye on top of a tower? That would be my approximation, Carly.
Oh, so it's the 2 towers then, yeah?
Basically, we're finishing watching the 2 towers.
Fair, the 2 towers does start relatively boring.
It does. It does actually. Although I will go as far as saying, I actually think 2 Towers is my favourite of the 3. Although it's definitely not the best film. It's definitely my favourite, but it's not the actual best. I think the straight up best, if anyone cares, is Fellowship.
What is going to happen? Zerotorque is first. They seem to be talking about this fire that burns against the cold for quite a bit. Possibly when this unit activates, you may expend 1 condition token. to discard the vow. I think maybe he's talking. Yeah, he's saying he wants to use that effect on the crossbowman. It seems. I think we have another vulnerable token placed down.
Right.
Zerotorque is first. What do I see? I see swords because swords matters a ton, and there's no Varys to block. I assume we begin with the swords, and that has to be Viserion killing off Watch Marshal. He's not allowed to make a range attack. Nothing else is available. I feel like that swords minimizes what the crossbowman can do. The only other thing would be if Drogon decided to pile right in there and kill the crossbowmen before they activate. Aemon, of course, can heal the crossbowmen to the point where the crossbowmen are firing at maximum efficiency again in a single activation. There's so much stuff that could happen here.
Oh
It
god.
starts with the Walder.
Oh god, Carlo. I didn't see Zerotorque. I mean, he only discarded Blood of the Dragon. I think. The second Blood of the Dragon. I 100% think he's got Overrun in hand on this. Watch Marshal.
We've seen an auto kill off of the swords onto the Watch Marshal.
He passes the panic.
In response to that, it shall not end until my death. He has amazing morale, so he is of course alive. But
it doesn't matter.
He's on 1 wound, which should mean that Walder Frey can then follow up and kill him.
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter. He succeeds. He then passes the panic check, and then Walder Frey just goes, splat, you're dead. Take a wound, mate. Oh.
But he doesn't die from the attack, so he can't overrun.
That's true. Stand United brothers healing up 2 wounds onto the crossbowman. That's a very important play, actually, enabling a second rank. And we see the Walder coming out. Splat, dead goes the Watch Marshal. Carlo.
Watch Marshal is dead. No overrun.
He just got 3 points.
3 VPs.
He needs to kill both dragons, and that's only if that secret VP is hidden on that dragon that we see. But if Viserion has that free VP, he can win it. He can stay in the game. He can draw the game at the end of this round if he kills both dragons, and he will proceed. He can't even kill both dragons, right? He'd have to shoot Drogon now and then charge with the
he has to shoot Drogon before he gets away, and then I mean Viserion though can just choose to like fly over him and hide behind or something. Swords is already taken, so he has to activate to take the shot.
I think that's it.
He has to hope that Zero makes a mistake, but
Carlo,
I don't think he can even get close enough.
Oh, I just forgot. If the conscripts kill the dragon, it will net him an extra VP from the conscripts killing the dragon because they're a marked unit. And so he can still draw the game if he kills both dragons without that VP being on the board. The win condition doesn't change. He needs to kill both dragons. He has 2 attacks to kill the dragons. He has to do it. He actually just has to do this. First activation here. If he goes and plays on the tactics board, I think Rossi loses. I think he just has to activate the the conscripts, and charge the dragon. I think if he makes any other play, he loses. Alternatively, he can, of course, shoot Drogon straight away. Oh man, this is horrible. Oh man. Why do they have to do this on a Sunday night?
The thing is surely Zerotorque will be able to get away with whichever unit
he doesn't
get killed here. So if he shoots Drogon, then Viserion can get away from the line of sight arc of the conscripts, and he's safe. That's fine. He uses horses to do it, and therefore it's okay. God, he's Rossi's currently looking at how far the conscripts are from Mother of Dragons, which would be a nightmare of a combat for him. Can't believe that he ever thinks that could be a kill. I'm not even 100% sure that the builder crossbowman can get in range to shoot Drogon, particularly considering they can't come within 1 inch of Viserion right now.
It looks like he's gone for the aim on heal onto these guys on the horses, and he's going to move the conscripts. Remember that both of Dany's Dragon's Flight and Dracarys abilities are gone, so this unit doesn't really pose a threat, inverted commas. There is another way out. There is another way out for
I mean, he
Rossi.
can kill Dany, but I don't see how.
Panic checks.
I don't see how it realistically will happen.
Panic checks. You just have to panic check her.
Okay, but money bags still exist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible. It's not nice.
I mean, Viserion can activate, get into the flank of the crossbowman, and just go and kill the crossbowman right now.
But he can't. He can't actually kill them. Oh no, he can. He can actually straight kill them. Yeah, of course he can. Of course he can.
He's well within range. He can go in, charge them. You know, like he can do all sorts of stuff. There's nothing dangerous to reactivate the conscripts by themselves. Surely they can't kill Dany. I mean,
this is over. This is over, right? This is now.
Surely it's over.
I don't see a way Rossi can get back into it, and I'm not trying to call it early, guys. Obviously, not trying to call it early, but I really just do not see what Rossi can do.
Through round 6, I think we're allowed to say that that's not calling it early anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think they agree that, yeah, 6 inches. I'm actually interested. I don't know how Zerotorque does this move where he picks up the base and sees how far it's moved at the same time.
I will show you if you want at the end of the game. It's a toggle that you can do with a unit. My dog's just having a bit of a fun time over here. I'll do it with one of Rossi's. Second, change my color to black. So I'll show you this. Got Ghost. If you go onto toggles and you want to go down the toggles to measure movement, on the toggle options, right click, toggles, measure movement. Then if the tray is locked, obviously it's in its normal format. You can unlock the tray, click to pick it up, and as you drag it and move it, it will show you how far it is being moved. There you go.
Brilliant. And that's always center point to center point, yeah?
Yes, it measures from where the flag is, the center point of the tray.
Very interesting.
If anyone does want to know that, there's more tips there. There's loads of things you can do on TTS, by the way, guys. Loads of tips and tricks on how to play. Make it nice and clean for viewers, watchers, for making it easy for yourself. Definitely recommend you do all the various different things that you need to do. Make it awesome. You don't need to do them. Oh yeah, just press tab while moving the tray. Bartender's here, he knows what he's talking about.
Whew, we see onto Crowns blocking some of that possible panic damage, and then we see Fury of the Dragon replace that zone's effect.
Yeah,
trying to get Drogon to safety.
Is that the second Fury of the Dragon?
Absolutely.
I think that's the second one, isn't
that would be the second Fury of the Dragon.
Yeah, I must have missed that.
Of course, that's now in play. I have to think. I mean, I assume that the conscripts now can't make that charge. The crossbowman could pick up a kill onto Viserion, but really he seems all in onto the Blackguards. And I've just received a message from Rossi saying that he's called the game. He can't make it back. He's gonna call it there.
Fair enough. Shall we go and visit them?
Absolutely. You head on over.
Engage. I was very, very concerned about actually getting in there because I figured if I got in there, it might go against me, and it definitely had big chances of going against me. All right, so we got to put in. I'll put in the thing that both John either way. I don't know which John is which. I guess it doesn't matter. So we ended 7-2 VPs.
Yes, of course.
Okay. I don't. Does it actually matter how many points destroyed for this mode?
No, it's KO round, so it's okay.
Okay.
It's
Alright.
I should not escape with guys here, but it would makes no difference. Then you can withdraw on, I guess. I'm not
I
sure.
honestly at this point I would run because you have cards that could move
Yeah,
you. At this
you see
point,
the
everything I
you
do
see
is
the
run
last
away.
card here.
Oh, that was what it was. That was the last card. My last card. I don't
Watch
even know
on
what
the
my
wall.
last one was.
I waited the
Okay, I
whole
was
time for the card.
okay. Swift retreat. I got so I was where you had Watcher, and I'm like, I don't want to attack you. If I
Yeah,
run,
but
you won't be able to kill enough. So I just
usually
gotta,
I
I gotta
would
like
I
run.
would take this, the Watcher, when you're attacking this guy here. I thought my chances are not that bad. When you're
Yeah.
attacking this guy and the water comes off, the Watcher, I can play with him and finish Drogon, and
Yep.
then I finish the other one too as well.
Oh yeah. If you had that, that's definitely. That's why I'm looking at. I was
Waiting
some
the
of the
whole
points
time
being
for the
really
fucking
careful.
Watcher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got some other cards probably at some potentially good times. I started with a reasonable draw, but then I did pick up the overrun, but I got them very late. Where earlier I was hoping to kind of slam another unit
Yeah.
because I
For
needed
me,
to get that activation advantage.
the draw luck was totally shit.
Yeah.
Now the watches and it just comes far too thing. All
Yeah.
the healing from the other moral tests, I got nothing to heal my guys up here in the right moment.
It worked well on these guys because otherwise they would have been with the cards, they would have been long dead. And they definitely were ones doing work late game. You know, there was some problems with some draws. I did catch like I think of the 4 dragon attacks, I think 3 of them were 6s. You know, so like I definitely got lucky with that. But that unit was definitely had a lot of survivability. Your list had tons of survivability set to it. It really made me worry about when to engage because if you still had your people off the board, your NCUs, which you did and was smart, you could almost heal up. It's almost whatever I do, unless I potentially stop some of it. So it was, I mean, it took a while, and I think it's because no one wanted to be the first person in.
And that seems like a very appropriate moment to kind of step in here. And and firstly, I'll say obviously commiserations, Rossi. You know,
Thank you.
losing a game is never easy. And you know, I think you put up a valiant fight. But obviously, congratulations to yourself, Zerotorque, smashing it with the Mother of Dragons. But the going back to what you're saying there, the first 2 rounds. I'm not gonna lie, me and Carlo, we saw the shuffling, we understood the shuffling, we kind of got with it all, but we also sat there and were like, oh god, is it just gonna be one of these Zs?
Yeah.
And then
sooner or later it would have to happen, or at least on my side, because I had more in NCUs.
Yes.
But it was as soon as he moved Ghost over, I couldn't go at this end anymore because now he double hits me. I'm losing a dragon. So then I had to try to play the other side.
And you went for it, and the game exploded. And I'm not even gonna lie, the middle of that game, like going into like round 4, maybe I think it was, we were hyped. Me and Carlo were like literally on the edge of our seats. We were loving that combination of things happening. Okay then. So first questions for you, Zerotorque. Obviously, you get the win. Things are looking good for you right now. Going into the next round, you will be playing probably against. I
got no confidence next round.
It's
none whatsoever.
It's a Mother of Dragon's mirror. I think you're playing into the winner of a Mother of Dragon's mirror, which is probably going to be a Mother of Dragons, isn't it?
Yeah, then that okay. I don't have much confidence, but I have a little more then because if it was any of the Stark or Free Folk, I would give myself almost no chance against Mirror. That seems like whoever makes the mistake.
Yeah, that is fair enough.
I can live with a match where it's going to come down or a card draw or a die roll. So to me, we're going to see.
Yeah, fair enough. Was there anything stand out for you this match, Zerotorque, either coming into the match, how you wanted to play it, or things that happened during the match that you had to kind of think about your play order and things like that? Was there anything you think is really kind of pivotal for you?
The biggest thing to me was knowing he would probably run his 9 activation list, knowing that it was going to be sooner or later I have to go in, and I have to assume he has whatever cards he wants. So I have to assume he's got a Watcher on the wall. I have to assume he can stop my tokens. So whenever I engage, I have to be willing to take a lot of hits in that round. So when I did, I think it was, I want to say it was in like 3 or whenever we finally did hit, I looked at it and said, okay, if I do, I should hopefully survive. And if I can live through this round and weather one more attack, maybe I keep it up. Because if I lose a dragon while he still has 9 activations, I don't think I stand a chance.
Yeah, that's fair.
To me, that was the biggest thing.
That's very fair. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Now, I will pass a message on from chat, Rossi, because you'll like this one, I think. You've had a congratulations to yourself, Rossi, in chat, because you've managed to dodge potentially 2 more Mother of Dragons matches, which is a massive win for anybody. That someone said in chat. So, so yourself, Rossi, what do you think were important moments for you? Perhaps was there anything that you think?
Yeah, the most
You made a mistake or
important
something?
moment was when I moved John a bit, a bit too far, maybe. I was expecting that he's coming in. I was expecting that I will, fail the panic test. And I thought, okay, he will hit me in the beginning. Don't know with Drogon or don't know. And yeah, I can use my it shall not end until my death, and just stand there and use aim maybe for healing, or I had the sword in the darkness with Ghost to get rid of one dragon. And I did a huge mistake with a double tap of the marshal right hand side here. I thought with a vulnerable, this is enough to kill the dragon. And I had no escape strategy from this. I thought when they come in, I could escape somehow, but I have no possibility to retreat anymore. This was the major thing, and I did not have any card for healing.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. It was just, just was bad played.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously,
But
you
at
know.
some point, he's running, I think, 3 times, 3 damage in a row. My virus didn't work in the crucial moments.
Yeah, you did. You missed. I want.
Yeah.
One Varus when it was crucial. Another one later, which didn't do I don't think too much, but one of them when it was crucial, and I didn't think I was going to get that spot, so I didn't even think about what the hell I would do on the board. I was like, oh, it's not going to matter. It's going to stop me. But yeah,
It was when you're healing up again.
Yep. Listen, I didn't think I would get that. I figured, okay, I'll do this other effect, but let me try for it. And I got it. I was like, okay, I guess I'll heal.
I did another mistake when I activated the crossbows and retreated. I just should try for the 3 hits. And maybe
I was surprised you didn't try for the kill there.
every one 2 times in a row. So you're, don't know.
Yeah.
I maybe I could win in the end. But you survived all the time with just 1 wound. This was so crucial.
Yes.
Walder would help me a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In this, absolutely. I mean, you would have had a little less healing, but yeah, there would have been spots where I had to play very, very differently because I had dragons on 1 wound here. I had another one. He was on 1 wound for a while. It was exceptionally tense.
That John died that fast.
Yes. We.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We were surprised by that just as much as perhaps you might have been as well. And the cards came out to kind of like do some other stuff with him. Like, you know, the It Shall Not End, and you had Stand United come out as well, but all of it didn't really matter because it didn't keep John alive in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thought for myself, okay, I just pulled out the It Shall Not End until my death because I could heal with John for the moral test I did.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, maybe I rolled a 2. And then, okay, maybe he's. I failed just with a 1 or something like
Yeah.
Mhm.
It-
that. Was the 1 all the time when I needed.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, no.
it's always a good game when dice are one of the determining factors, because that means that you played it well and you did what you could. It wasn't, you didn't look at it and say, "Oh man, this is the move I made that super cost me the game." You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
'cause
Definitely.
so you can't fight dice. They're gonna go well and they're gonna screw you other times.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You know, if
Yeah.
in the end of the day, we can only ever make the plays that are good. And if we're making the right plays and luck goes against us, well, then luck goes against us. That's just something we have to live with. As long as we are making the right plays in the scenario, then that's just luck doing its thing.
Yeah. Just
Absolutely.
one thing more. Congratulations for the win.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure
It
to
was
play
a
with
hell
you.
of a game.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a
It
hell of a
was.
game. So
We'll have to play
probably I
some
cannot
another
sleep
time
anymore
with a
this
little
night.
less stakes, so we can just kind of have fun with it.
I wish you good luck for the rest of the World Cup.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
And with
You
that,
good luck
guys,
against my wife. I don't think she's gonna be happy about how late I played. Okay, go ahead. Dinner.
with that, guys, I will leave you to it. Thank you very much for letting us stream the game. Best of luck, of course, Zerotorque into your next round.
Alright.
Have quite a while off between the next round being drawn as well. And
Yeah.
Rossi, obviously, commiserations again. Doing well to bring Night's Watch here, showing that Night's Watch is still competitive, still viable. And I will definitely catch up with you later on, Rossi, when we no doubt have a late night evening chat or some random
Yeah, I
game.
think so. You're there.
Anyway, guys, I'll leave you to it.
All right. Yep.
So there we go, guys. That is the end of today's stream. It's been an interesting one. Carlo has had to bow out. He's got work tomorrow morning. Yeah, the guy works now. Did you know that? Anyway, he will be going to bed. I am still here, and I will give you the lead out. And of course, a bit of a change of destination today. We're obviously on the YouTube over here on the Song of Ice and Fire Stats YouTube. Had some technical problems with the NRG Twitch. But do check out the NRG Twitch channel where you'd expect to find the rest of the streams. It's where most of you will probably be used to seeing the games. Obviously, catch me and Carlo tomorrow night at 7 p.m. GMT, which is like 2 p.m. Eastern, right? And 12 midday, like Central or something like that. 11 East Western or whatever. But yeah, we'll be talking Free Folk spoilers. You'll be getting Carlo's very kind of like fair assessment of what you see, and me crying into my microphone and making myself look like a prick, because Free Folk. Yeah, we'll catch you there for that. Other than that, guys, go check out all the cool stuff that NRG is going to be producing over the next kind of couple of weeks. There's a massive announcement happening tomorrow, which some of you may or may not know about. Which is big for UK, A Song of Ice and Fire. So if any of you are in the UK, check out the announcement that we've got along with Steadfast Gaming coming out tomorrow.